Yo, what's good, y'all? Today's video, I got the how to make Forsaken part one. This is, Forsaken, the game on Roblox. It's pretty popular right now. I've had some people ask me about it and stuff. It's like a little horror game kind of thing. I think it's similar to like Dead by Daylight, something like that and whatnot. So I was like, let me go ahead and make a little tutorial on it. It looks pretty simple. So this is gonna be part one. We're gonna be setting up, UI. We're gonna be setting like UI, the health bar, the stamina, the round system, the spawns, the teams. We're gonna be setting all that stuff up. If part one does well, we'll continue with part two and do like actual in progress round stuff, like where survivors have their abilities and all that stuff. We'll get into that in future parts if this video does well. So if you guys want a part two, all you gotta do is just show lots of love on the video, leave a like, subscribe, let me know in the comments if you want a part two. Let's go ahead and get straight into it. Okay. So first things first, let's go ahead and let's take care of some side stuff before we get into the scripting. First things first, of course, we're going to need teams, right? There are a total of 3 teams and stuff. Now, I've played Forsaken like probably twice for like 20 minutes just so I could like, do some research on it and just see like, okay, like, I play a game and then I'm just like, okay, this is what I need to recreate for the video and whatnot. So if I'm wrong about anything, please let me know in the comments. But there are 3 teams. You have your spectators, like when you join the game, whether it be you join the game and a round hasn't started, or you join the game and a round has started, you're automatically on the spectators team, right? Then you have your survivors and killers. Survivors and killers are, currently in progress. When the game is currently in progress, or a round is in progress, I should say, and stuff, right? So let's go ahead and head on over to teams. If you guys don't see teams, if you don't see the teams, then you click view. Where is it? Where's the command? I'm looking for the command thing. Where is the command thingamajig? Where is it? Command bar, yes, that. So run a command, game, get service, teams, right? Then enter. Then in the output you should see game get service teams and stuff, and then it'll retrieve the team service for you if you don't see it. Anyway, so click the plus icon, enter the team, of course. So for this first team, right, this is going to be our neutral team. So you could just say this is going to be spectators. So you're going to just call this spectators, right? And then make sure you have auto assignable checked for this, because this is the team you want the players to be auto assigned when they join the game, right? And then team colors, you can make the team color whatever you want it to be and stuff, but the colors have to be consistent with the spawns, right? And I'll get into what I mean when we get to the spawns right after this. So then you can just duplicate this, control D, right? And then of course we're gonna need to change this. So of course our second team can be the survivors, right? And then we can make their color like, I don't know, a smoky gray. And then obviously disable auto assignable. Then for our last team, this would be our killer, because there's only one killer, so we'll just say killer. Disable auto assignable, set it to red, right? Then we have our teams. Now let's go ahead and insert a remote event into replicated storage. You can rename this remote event to core event. Then we can start working on the spawns in workspace. So go to workspace, plus icon, insert a spawn location, right? Now I do want to clarify something, right? I'm gonna have the spawns like in this, like in like a little like circle, right? They're gonna be like right next to each other. Obviously in an actual like map and everything, you'd have like the survivor spawn like all the way over there, or like in the sky or something, and then you'd have like the killer spawn over here, and then like the survivor spawn like over here type thing. But I'm just gonna put them like kind of in a circle and stuff, because we're not doing any map related things, just the scripting. Okay, so obviously first you need to make sure you name everything correctly. So let's do, this would be our spectator, if I spelled that right, spectators spawn, right? Then very important, disable neutral, right? And make sure you update the team color to match the corresponding team's color, right? So this is spectator, right? Our team color is institutional white. So we need to go over here to spectator spawn, and we need to set team color to institutional white. Then I'd recommend setting the color of the spawn to also the same color. This is simply so that when you're testing stuff, you can tell like which spawn is which. So, like, okay, I'm spawning on the right. I'm spawning at the right spawn point. Then I'm just making it a little transparent. And I'm going to delete the decal inside and stuff. You guys don't necessarily have to do that, but yeah. So then we're just going to duplicate this. So you can duplicate the top, or Control plus D. So I'm going to do that twice. Like I said, I'm just going to have them in like a little, like just like next to each other and stuff, right? Then obviously we need to update them. So second one will be survivors spawn, right? Now let's go look at survivors. Our color is smoky gray. That's our team color. So we'll update that to smoky gray. And also here, just that we can tell, smoky gray. Survivor spawn. And lastly, we have our killer spawn. So you'll name this to killer spawn. You can put spawns wherever you want, right? Change the color to match the team color again. Red, or really red, I should say, right? That matches the team color. So bam, right? And then if you guys click play, you'll see we have the 3 teams and automatically puts me on the spectators team. And I spawn at the spectator spawn, right? So we're done with the sides. We're done with some of the side stuff. Now we need to move on to the UI, right? So head on over to starter GUI and insert a screen GUI, plus icon, screen GUI, disable, reset on spawn. Rename this to core GUI, right? Let me just double check to make sure. Okay, we're good. Then you're going to want to insert a frame, right? You're going to want to rename this frame to round frame. It's going to have like our countdown at the top and everything. So you're going to want to move this frame to the top, middle. I think I did this by like, I think it was like 3. No, I think it was like 200. Yeah, it was like 200 by like 60. Yeah, there was like 200 by 60, I think. So I'm gonna make the background black. I'm gonna give it like a white border. So border size pixel will be set to 2. Border color will be set to white. So something nice like that, right? Then I'm gonna insert a text label, and this will be my round text label. This is where it's gonna display like the words and stuff like, oh, round is starting soon or waiting for more players. So by default, the text, so bold text, rich text, skill text, by default, we want the text to say waiting for more players, and then we'll update this once we have enough players. Then obviously you'll set text color to white, text stroke transparency will be set to 0, text stroke color will be set to black, and then you can just make the background transparency 1, right? Then we're just gonna make this a lot smaller, so maybe like half the size, like 25, like maybe 35. Let's see, because we need room to fit our. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so waiting for more players. Then you can duplicate this, Control D, and then you're just gonna drag it under it, right? You're gonna want to rename this to countdown text label, right? This is where it's going to say like, okay, 45 seconds, it'll say 45, 44, 43, it'll count down, or it'll say like 2 minutes or 30 seconds remaining, for like the round and everything and stuff, right? So this is where we're going to display like our countdown. That is where we're going to display like what's currently in progress, whether it be waiting for more players, round starting soon, or how much time is left until, round ends and insert amount of time kind of thing. So by default, there will be no text, right? Or, by default, you could just that is the wrong thing. You could also have this by default if you wanted to and stuff. But I'll just have nothing by default. So same concept as what we did there. Only difference is this is going to be a little bit smaller, and we're going to insert a UI stroke into it, right? And then we're going to make the color white, give it a little border, trying to match the what's the word? The UI for the actual game just a little bit and stuff. So make sure it's a border, okay, and then we're going to need to set this to like 150, right? I don't think I can. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make the background transparent so that I can move it. Because the whole point is we want it to be in the middle, and then we also want to set this to like maybe 30, or no, 25 is gonna have to be 25. So we can put this like in the middle, like in between kind of thing. So like right there, then background transparency set back to 1. Then we have our UI stroke. Then we can do it like 1.5, something like that. Yeah, something like that kind of thing. Um, I might scale this up just a little so that it's not so much in the way. Like right there kind of thing. Okay, there we go. So yeah, waiting for more players, and then here we'll have our countdown text, and then test. Okay, there we go. Looks great. Okay, we're done with the round UI, and now to move on to the other UI. This is gonna take a little bit of time. So this is gonna be our info frame, right? So let's go ahead and I'm gonna just duplicate this. Mm, nah, just insert another frame. So insert another frame into the core GUI, rename this into info frame, right? So info frame. This is gonna have our health, our stamina, and our profile picture and stuff, just like the actual game. So I think I did like, what was it? 300. I think it was like 300 by 100. I believe that's what I did. Yeah, I think that's what I did. So bottom right, I mean, sorry, bottom left. I don't know directions. We're gonna make the background color black. We're gonna make it transparent. Put like halfway. I'm gonna give it a white border. So border size color, we set the white border size pixel to like 2 or nothing. No, I think I did like 5. No, definitely not 5. Okay, that is. Okay, yeah, that should be good. So something like that, right? Um, then we're gonna go ahead and insert an image label into this. So plus icon. You're gonna insert an image label. This is going to be like the headshot of the player and stuff. So of like their avatar and everything. So we're gonna need to make this a little bit smaller so that it can like kind of squeeze in. So I think 80 by 80 should work, right? And then we want to make this round, so insert a plus icon UI corner. Set the Y value to 20. The corner radius Y value, or sorry, the offset to 20, I should say. Right, we'll do it like that. Then we're gonna insert a UI stroke to give it that white border. So color will be set to white, right? Now the image label, I believe the background is supposed to be transparent. Yeah, there we go. The background transparent. So there. Well, I think that's how it's supposed to be. I think that's how it's supposed to be. I'm not totally sure. We have the placeholder image. We can. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's best to just remove the placeholder image so you can just see how it looks. That looks pretty good. We could increase the stroke, the thickness by like 2, right? That looks pretty good. And then I can just move this over. Just okay, wrong thing. I could just move this. Oh, it's not gonna let me. Okay, hold on. Background transparency. We'll make it transparent so then I can move it over just a little bit. And then yeah, you guys could just put this like in the corner kind of thing, right? Then make it fully transparent. And then you're gonna rename this to player image label, right? It's gonna be the headshot of the player. Now we're gonna get into the stamina and health text labels. So we're gonna insert a text label into info frame. You're gonna want to rename this text label to current health text label, right? Size will be 100 by 25. It is very important, it is imperative that you guys do the same exact sizing as I'm doing. The reason for that is because you need the bars to like to scale correctly and stuff when you update them and stuff, right? So like since the player will start with 100 health and 100 stamina and stuff, then you need the X value to match that and stuff. So if you say like if your players start with like 125 health, then you need this X value to start to be changed like 125 and stuff. So I just recommend you guys use the same numbers as I use, though it's probably just easier that way. So this is going to be current health. We're going to put this at the, like top, like right here, I want to say. Should be good. And stuff we need to leave space on the right. So like right there. Wait. Yeah, I think there should be good. So we're going to make the background color for this. Since this is current, this will be red, right? For health. And then obviously clear the text. I'm going to give it a white border. So border size pixel will be equal to 2. I'm just going to give the border color will be equal to white, right? So there's our current health text label. Then we'll duplicate this, Control D, right? And then this is going to be our full health text label. So rename this to full health text label. And then the background color for this will be what was it? I think actually it was supposed to be. I think it was just black. I can't remember if it was black or not and stuff, or if it was just like a white. Probably best to do like a black. You probably best to just do like black. But anyway, cause let me see if I do it like. No, that's not gonna work. Okay. Or actually, I think we need to actually, yeah, switch names, switch names. Okay. So change current to full help text label. So I think I created it in the wrong order. Not gonna lie to y'all. So just switch the names. Current. I think I created them in the wrong order. Not gonna lie to y'all. So okay. I believe this is supposed to be like, yeah, I always get confused when it comes to this part. So this one, right? Current health. Let's see. current health. Okay, that's current health. Oh, they both have. Okay. So current health should not have a border. So set that to 0. Should not have a border, right? Current health should be red. Like the background color should be red and should not be transparent. Then full health should be like black, I believe. And then now let's see what happens now if I should move current health. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's how it's supposed to be. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. There we go. It gets a little confusing, so if anyone's confused, here we go. Full health text label. Here are the properties for colors, sizing, and stuff. There's no text or anything, but yeah. So, and this is current health text label. Current health text label, in case anybody is confused and needed the property information for all the transparencies and everything. There we go. So when current health moves, right? Yep, there we go. And then it stays within the white box. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay. Now we can go ahead and insert the health text label, which is going to be the amount of text, or the amount of health the player has. So you could just duplicate one of them, Control D, select one of them, duplicate it. Just move it over to the side, rename this to health text label. This is going to be displayed as like the current amount of health the player has in like numerical form. So this, we need text, bold, rich text, scaled text. By default, obviously it'll be 100, out of 100, or however much the default health is, in your game. And then text color will be red with black textural color, textural transparency with it to 0. And then you can set the background. You could set the background equal. You can set the background transparency to You can set the background transparency to 1 once we move it over. Yeah, I'm probably gonna move these over. Not gonna lie. So select current health and full health, and just move it over a little because we need these to fit. So like that, and then just move it over like that. Then I should just be able to make this a little smaller. It's like 70. Then we'll just move it over. So it's like right here. And then now set the background transparency to 1. And there we go. Now we have our health. And the great thing is for stamina, all we have to do is just duplicate this. So select all 3, Control D, just drag them right under it. So like a little under it. Right? And then all we got to do is just make some changes. Okay. So make sure you're, selecting the right one, right? So, okay. So just all you got to do is switch out the names. Current health becomes current stamina text label. Full health text label becomes full stamina text label. Then the bottom health text label just becomes stamina text label, right? So for the stamina text label, we're gonna do white and black. That's the theme we're going for here. So text color will be set to white, and then text stroke will just remain the same. Still 100 out of 100. Full stamina. Full stamina. The background is, I think, still gonna be black. Yeah. Current stamina. The background color needs to be changed to white, right? And then we needed a border for it. So what I'm gonna do is I might just make it have a black border, honestly. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna just do. So I'm just change the border color to like black, I think. The reason for that is because it's already white, so you're not gonna be able to really see. So yeah. So then yep, when it moves like that, there we go. So yeah, I'll just do it like that. So yeah, just like that, we're done with the UI. Stuff we have made all of UI, stamina and health UI and everything, and we are good to go. Okay. So by default, everything would be enabled and stuff. We'll update this and everything via scripts and everything. So now we can get into actual coding, just double checking to make sure we're good. Okay. Okay. Open up starter player scripts, insert a local script, rename the script to core script in parentheses, put local, right? Delete print hello world, right? Then now we're going to get into the coding. So first, let's make a ton of variables. Create a variable for the player service. Okay, so go to game.players. Or sorry, game.players. Game gets service players, right? Then variable for the tween service. So local TS is equal to game get service tween service. Create a variable for the user input service is equal to game get service user input service, right? Then we're gonna wait. I just had a great video idea. Anyway, okay, moving on. So then we're gonna create a variable for our core mode event. So core event is equal to game that replicated storage wait for child core event. Then we're gonna create a variable for our local player. So player is equal to game dot players local player. And then lastly, we're gonna create a variable for the core GUI. Like I said, a lot of variables. wait for child, core GUI, right? Then we're going to update the image and stuff. Like I said, we're gonna update the image and stuff upon the player joining. It's honestly real cool. We're gonna say core GUI.info frame dot player image text label. You're gonna say dot image is equal to PS the player service. You're gonna say get user thumbnail async, right? Then you're gonna need to put in the player's user ID, comma, then enum dot thumbnail type, and then you're gonna say headshot. I mean, you can choose another one if you want to, but the game uses just their headshot. So plus I sized it just for their headshot, not their full body. Then enum dot thumbnail size. Again, you guys can mess around with different sizes, but I'm just gonna do 48 by 48. And then if you want to test it real quick to make sure it works, looks pretty cool. Just press play. You'll see it has a headshot of the player and stuff. So pretty cool, right? Okay. So now we're gonna move on to setting up the what's it called? The health and the stamina system and stuff, right? So pretty much we're going to make it so that whenever our health or stamina values, which we're going to create on the server script, are changed, these bars as well as these numbers will change, right? So we're going to say player dot health amount. Again, this is a value we're going to create on the server side once we get to the server script. You're going to say dot changed, connect function, close parentheses, enter, right? Then you're going to set up the health tween. You're going to say health tween is equal to ts create. Then you're going to say core GUI.info frame dot health, or sorry, dot current health text label. Make sure you don't confuse the two. Comma tween info dot new. You're going to put the duration here. You can put however much time you want. I'm just going to put 0.2 seconds. Then enum dot easing style. Again, choose whatever easing style you want. I'm just going to put linear. Then, oh my bad. Enum dot easing direction out. Choose whatever direction you want. And then we're going to put a comma between parentheses, then special brackets for the property table. We're going to say size is equal to, this is why I said it was important that you get this, you just do the same sizing as me, right? udm2.new. Then you're going to say 0, comma, keep in mind, all I'm doing here, if you're confused, all I'm doing, right? So first I'm adjusting the size, just so people know, I'm adjusting these bars, right? Adjusting these bars. You'll notice for current health, right? Well, actually, they're both the same. They're both the same size, but you'll notice, right? It's currently 100 by 25. So we're just simply going to update the X value. So we're going to say player dot health amount dot value, right? That simple. So we're just going to update that, and of course the Y value remains the same because we don't need to we don't need it to go up or down, just left to right. Then after that, right, you're going to play the health tween. We're going to say health tween play. Then you're going to update the number, so the numerical value. So core GUI, we're going to update this value right here. Core GUI dot info frame dot health text label dot text is equal to player dot health amount dot value dot quotation marks, put a slash. Then you're going to put whatever the maximum amount of health is in your game. So for me, I'll do 100. The great news is to do the stamina system, all we have to do is just copy and paste this. Let's save ourselves some time. So copy or control C. Then Control V or paste at the top left. Then all you're gonna do is just change this to stamina amount. We're just gonna make some slight changes and we'll be done quick. Rename the variable to stamina tween. Control C, Control V. Then of course change this to current stamina text label. You're gonna go over here and then you're just gonna change this to stamina amount. That value, because remember they're the same sizes. Then you come down here, stamina text label, right? And then stamina amounts, that value. And again, whatever your max out of whatever your maximum stamina is for your game. Then after that, we're going to create a variable called running is equal to false. So this is setting up the sprinting system. This is setting up the sprinting system as well as like the stamina system and stuff, right? So that players can sprint, and then if they sprint, it'll take away what's it called? It'll take away some of their stamina once they have no stamina or they've released the shift key. They'll stop running. Stuff, then they'll start regenning. So we'll first create a function, local function is equal to stamina regen. We'll set up so that players can regen stamina, close parentheses, enter. So we're going to set up a while loop, so while not running, so while the player is not running, right? So while not running, you know what, let me do something. Let me throw an and in there, right? While not running, and player dot stamina amount dot value is less than 100, So what? Pretty much again, whatever your max is and stuff. So if it's less than 100, that's perfect, right? Then we're going to increase it by stamina amount value. Now this is very important here. You guys can decide the value, but you have to think logically. I'm gonna put 2. You can put whatever value you want, but you have to think logically here. You cannot put an odd number, right? It has to be an even number. Think about it. If you put 3, for example, right? What's gonna happen is it's gonna go. Let me think real quick. It's gonna go 90, 93, 96, 99, and then it won't go to 100 because wait. Oh no, no, sorry, no. It will go. It'll go over 100. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, it'll go over 100. It'll go to 102, right? So you have to put an even number and stuff. That's all that matters. You just gotta put an even number. If you, assuming your number is even and that you went with 100, right? So we're just gonna say plus equal to and then simply, I don't think I really need this if statement anymore. I had an if statement to check to see if we went over it. We'll add it just in case as a precaution and stuff, but because it checks to see if they have max stamina, we'll just add it just in case. We'll say if player dot stamina amount dot value is greater than or equal to 100. So again, whatever your max is, then you'll just set it to whatever the max is for your game is equal to 100, and then you'll break the loop, right? Then after that, of course, we got to add a task that wait. So I'm going to put 0.5 seconds. Obviously, you can adjust this and stuff. There's nothing you have to think about here. It's completely up to you and stuff like this. You actually have to think about this. You don't. This is literally just the duration in between like stamina regen and stuff. How many seconds have to pass before a player can regen? +2 stamina or however much, right? Then we're done with the Then just like that, we are done with the regen function. Now we can get into the actual sprinting system. So we're going to say UIS that input began, connect function in parentheses, put input, comma, processed. Enter, you're going to say if input.user input type is equal to enum.user input type keyboard and not process, which pretty much means the player is not typing in chat. Enter, you'll then say if input.keycode is equal to enum.keycode. I'm going to put left shift. You can put whatever your shift keybind or whatever your sprinting keybind is, I should say. Enter, and then you'll adjust the player's walk speed. So I'll say player.character.humanoid walk speed is equal to 32 and stuff. Again, up to you guys. And then obviously we'll set running because the player is now running is equal to true, right? You'll say while running. So while running is same thing. While running is equal to true. While the player is running, then you'll just do the opposite of what we did in the regen function. Player.stamina amount.value is less than equal to 2, right? Then you'll say if player dot stamina amount dot value is greater than or equal to 0 and stuff. So this is just as a again another. We're literally doing the exact same thing, just the opposite and stuff, right? So if it, let's say some magical way it went to like a negative number, then you would, okay, wrong thing. How am I gonna do that? Let's say, is that I did put 2 M's by mistake. Anyway, so let's say it magically went to a negative number, then you would just reset it back to 0. So stamina amount dot value is equal to 0, right? And then you would make it so that the player can no longer run stuff because they're out of stamina. So humanoid dot walk speed will be set to whatever the default walking speed is. Then running, they're no longer running. Then you would begin the stamina regen function, right? Because they ran out of stamina and stuff. Then obviously we're going to take away stamina every half second, but again, up to you guys for how I'm going to do it. Then we're going to set up the input ended function. So, okay, this right here, this is for when the player runs out of stamina, but we also need to account for if a player starts running, then they voluntarily decide to stop running themselves, right? So UIS that input ended, connect function in parentheses, put input, comma, process. You guys already know what we're doing. Enter if input.user input type is equal to enum.user input type.keyboard and not processed. If input.keycode is equal to enum.keycode, left shift, right? Then we're just going to say enter. Then we're going to, of course, reset their walk speed. So humanoid.walk speed is equal to 16. Again, whatever the default is in your game. Running is set to false because they no longer want to run, and then we will begin the stamina regen function, right? So there's two instances of when we need to begin the stamina regen function. Now we're done with the stamina system, right? We're now going to get on to the round stuff. So it's like when let's say when like, okay, enough players have joined the server and now we can begin the round countdown to wait to see if like, okay, like the round is starting in however much time, or the round has begun and this is how much time is left in the round, right? So we can display that to the player and then just double checking to make sure we're good, right? So we're going to create a variable called break, my bad, break loop is equal to false. So we'll just have this as a precaution in case for situations where we need to break the loop. Let's say you need two players to start a game. One person joins the game and another person joins. You have two people, but then the countdown begins. Then one of the players leaves. You obviously need to be able to break the loop so that it can like go back to waiting for more players and stuff, right? So that it doesn't start just because there were two players, because there currently are not two players in the server, right? So you'll then say wrong thing, core event, client event, connect function, in parentheses put event type, comma arg1, comma arg2, short for argument number 1 and argument number 2. These are just pieces of data information that we're sending from the server to the client. So enter. He'll say if event type is equal to quotation marks, you're going to put a round, enter. So round is just like round information, whether it be, okay, the round's gonna start if we have enough players by the time the countdown is done, or if they're right, or round has started, and it's currently in progress. So you're then going to create a variable called a round type. This is pretty much round event type, I should say. So arg1, right? You're going to say if round type is equal to start, just to clarify something, right? This does not mean the round is starting. This is, I probably should have named this something else, but this is when the countdown has begun to like, okay, in 45 seconds, the round will start if we have enough players. That's what this is, just to clarify. So then create a variable for duration. This is how much time, it's not useful duration. Duration is equal to arg2. This is how much time left until the round starts, right? So then you'll say core GUI dot round frame, or sorry, wait, I think that was the wait, what did I do? Wait, round. Oh yeah, round frame. Dot round text label dot text is equal to, then you'll put round starts in. You put round starts in. Then we use a for loop. We'll say for I is equal to duration. So this is where we're gonna start. This is where we're gonna end, and then this is the modifier. If you didn't understand what that just meant. So let's say 45 seconds the round starts, right? This is duration, right? So it's going to start, it's going to count down from 45, right? It'll stop once it reaches the number 0, and then it'll change by -1, right? So it'll go 45, 44, 43, 42, and etc. If you wanted it to go like 0 to 45, then you would switch these. You would do like 0, then 45 here, and then this would just be, you would just, I don't believe you need to do this. Yeah, you don't, yeah, you would just have just a regular one, but yeah. So enter, right? And then first thing first, you're going to go ahead and check to see if break loop is equal to true. So if break loop is equal to true, enter, you'll say core GUI dot round frame. This pretty much means that it was a scenario I described. There were enough players when the countdown initially started, but now there's not. So you'll say round frame dot round text label dot text is equal to waiting for more players dot dot dot, right? Then it'll say core GUI dot round frame dot countdown text label dot text is equal to nothing, so there's blank quotation marks. Then break loop is equal to false and stuff, so that we can reset it back to normal. Then don't break, so it breaks us out of the loop, right? Gets us out of the loop. Then you're gonna go after the for I loop, so you're just gonna skip two, or sorry, not skip two ends. You're gonna skip you're gonna skip one end. Sorry, you're gonna skip one end. And then, so assuming that, it doesn't want us to break out of the loop, which means the countdown is still in progress, you're going to continue to update it. So round frame dot countdown text label dot text is equal to I, right? And then, of course, we're going to do task dot wait 1 second, right? Because, it'll be 1 second in between each, right? Then you're going to skip that end, and then you're going to say else if round type is equal to clear, which this pretty much just means like so this, right, the break loop is going to be triggered by this and stuff. All you're gonna do is just set break loop equal to true, right? So we're gonna fire the remote event this to tell them to clear and stuff. So it's like, okay, the round was gonna start, now it's no longer gonna start. So once we set this variable's value equal to true, Once it's iterating through, it'll check this. Once it sees it's true, it'll end the countdown and stuff, right? Then we'll throw another else if. We'll say else if. Now this is going to be in progress round. So this is when the round has officially started. So you're going to say in progress, right? Enter again with the duration variable. So duration is equal to R2, right? Then after that, you're going to say core GUI dot round frame dot round text label dot text is equal to round ends in, right? Then you're going to do the same thing with the for loop. You can really just copy and paste this to save yourself some time. So just go back up here, Control C, Control V, right? So it's like the same concept. Duration 0, -1. If break loop, then you'll change the text to you can change the text to round starting soon. Because assuming I mean, I would assume. I mean, you could really. This message can say whatever you want, whether it be round starting soon or waiting for more players and stuff. But I'm assuming if it ends, then it's just gonna start another round soon. But so this all remains the same, but we're gonna need to make some modifications here. So obviously, we don't want to have it like at 180 seconds and counting down. Let's say it's 3 minutes per round. We don't want to do 180, 179, 100. Like no, we want to do 2 minutes and then the 30 seconds on the whatever kind of thing we have. So we're going to need to format it, right? So we're going to create a variable called minutes. We're going to say is equal to math.floor, right? And we're going to say I, because that's I starting at the duration stuff, right? So we're going to say we're going to divide this. We're going to say I divide, sorry, not a comment. I divided by 60 because 60 seconds is in 1 minute. Then we're going to do seconds. Seconds is equal to I'm going to take the reciprocal of 60. Then we're going to get the time. We're going to say time is equal to string dot format, right? Here, so you're going to format it. You're going to say percent sign 0 to D colon percent sign again 0 to D, right? And then you're going to wrap these in parentheses. Or wait, no, sorry, not parentheses, quotation marks, right? Then you're gonna say comma, minutes, seconds, so that it formats it, and then you're just going to update it. So instead of setting countdown text label dot text equal to I, you're gonna say equal to time, right? And then just like that, we are done with the local script, right? Now we can move on to the server script and stuff, and then how we're good. See, we're already 40 minutes in. This is why I was gonna break it up into two parts. Okay, so server script service plus icon server script. Thankfully though, guys, we're not going to spend too much time around server script. It's like the server script is like it's like 1/3 as much code as this. So rename the script to core script and parentheses put server. Delete print hello world. Create two variables. First, create a variable for our remote event. Core events is equal to game, the replicated storage, wait for child, core events. Then create a variable for round started, which of course by default will be set to false. You'll set up the first function, which will be start round, right? Close parentheses. Enter, of course, you'll fire, make sure you do all clients. In quotation marks, you want to put round. That's the name of the event, comma, and then we're starting, as the name implies, comma, and then here you're going to put your duration. So let's say 45 seconds. You could set this to 20 seconds, 10 seconds. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you guys. Just make sure you're consistent. Then we will say, like, make sure you're consistent. Here's what I mean. We're going to use a for loop. We're going to say is equal to 45. Don't say you want 20 seconds, but then you leave this as 45. These need to match, right? So 45, comma 0, comma -1, right? Enter. First, we're going to get the number of players, right? So we're going to say, oh, my bad. We're going to say number of players is equal to the pound sign or hashtag game that players get children, right? And that'll give us the number of players in the server. Then we'll say if number of players is less than 2. Again, you guys can change this to whatever you want. I'm pretty much saying there needs to be a minimum of 2 players in the server and stuff for a match to start. But if y'all want it to be like 3 or 4, then you would just put that, right? So if there's less than 2, which means like there were enough for the round to start, but then somebody left, right? Then we're going to fire the remote event, fire all clients, quotation marks, round, then here's the clear when I was talking about clear. Then you're going to set round started equal to false so that it can start again, and then you're going to break us out of the loop, right? Then afterwards, you're going to say if I is equal to 0, oh my bad, is equal to 0, enter, which means the round is ready for the round to start. So we need to choose a killer, which means we need to randomize, right? So we're going to say, we're going to create a variable for a username list, right? So it's equal to special brackets, and then we're going to insert every username of the player insert the name of each player currently inside the server or in the server. So for IV in pairs, game.players, get children, enter. I don't know why that's capital. Then you're just going to say table.insert username list, comma, v.name, right? So now we have a list with all the players in it. Then you're going to choose a random number, right? This is how we're going to choose our killer. Random number, because it's going to be randomized, is equal to math.random. Obviously, it's going to be between, there's going to be between 1 and however many players there are currently in the server. So game.players, get children. So let's say if there are 5 players, it'll choose a number between 1 to 5. If there are 7 players, 1 to 7. That's simple, right? Then we'll get our random username by doing username list, regular bracket, then you'll throw a random number in there, right? And then that's how we'll get our username. And then now we have our killer, which is equal to game.players, find first child, or random username, right? Then we'll set the killer stuff first. We'll say killer.team is equal to game.teams.killer, right? Then we'll say killer.character. We'll go ahead and move them. So we'll say pivot to. Then in parentheses, you're going to put workspace.killerspawn.cframe, right? Then now you'll do the same, but for the survivor. So another for I loop. So for I be in pairs, game. I don't know why I keep doing capital. Players get children, enter. Then you're just going to use an if statement. You're going to say if v.name, just got to double check to make sure it is obviously not the killer. So you could say is not equal to, you could just say random username because that's the username of the killer. So as long as it's not equal to that, then you will say v.team is equal to game.teams.survivors, and then you say v.character or colon pivot to workspace.survivor spawns cframe, right? Then you will skip 2 ends. You will fire their mode event, core events, fire all clients, quotation marks round, comma, in progress. Then send over how long the round lasts. So we'll say 180 seconds, which is 3 minutes, right? And then we're done with that. We're done with that first function. Now onto the second one. So, wait, I think I'm forgetting something. I am forgetting something. I forgot to put the task.waits. Okay, so this is the beginning of our for. So right here. So just go right there. Task.wait 1 second. There we go. Then let me just put a space right there. Then there we go. Because if I close that, it's inside. Just make sure it's inside. Yep, there we go. Okay. All right. So then moving on to the second thing, we're going to say game.players. Player added connect function in parentheses put PLR just for the player who joined, enter. Now we're going to create those values I was talking about. So first up we have our health amount, which is of course going to be a number value. So health amount name is equal to health amount. So keep track of how much health the player currently has. Health amount dot value, again, set it to whatever your default health is in your game. So I'll say 100. Health amount dot parent, we'll parent it to the player. Then let's save ourselves some time. Select it, Control C, Control V. Then just rename this to stamina amount. And then just copy and paste it all over the place. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, and Control V. Once again, the default will be 100, but you can set it to whatever you want. Then we will say player.character added connect function in parentheses put character. Enter, right? So we're gonna first function will be updating the health. So we'll say character.humanoid.health changed, right? Connect function. So whenever the player's health changes, we will update the health amount value. So we will say player.health amount dot value is equal to character.humanoid.health, right? There's that function. Then we will make it so that whenever they die, it resets their team to spectator and stuff, right? So I'm pretty sure there's no way for you to kill the killer in this game and stuff, right? Um, but let's say if a survivor dies, then it'll reset their team to survivor, and then they'll respawn back at the survivor spawn. I'm sorry, it'll reset a survivor's team to spectator, and then they'll respawn at the spectator's team, right? So if you like, let's say you want to end a round, you could just kill everybody, and then it'll just trigger this function. So character, the humanoid that died, connect function, close parentheses, enter. Then you'll simply just say player.team is equal to game.teams spectators. Right? Then you'll skip two ends, and then you'll say if not round started, so pretty much when the player joined, if that round started, enter to check to see if there's enough players to start. So again, with number of players is equal to £, game.players get children, right? And you'll say if number of players is greater than one, or again, however much, whatever your minimum is, right? Enter, round start is equal to true. Then you'll trigger the start round function. Okay, so this is all we have so far. As you guys can see, that took us like 40 minutes. That's why I'm breaking it up into multiple parts. If y'all want a part two, this is why. And stuff. We're not doing much gameplay. Just really a lot of the background stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and publish and let's test to make sure everything works as expected. We can go ahead and do test, and then we'll just do like 2 players. So start, as always, if you guys want access to any one of my scripts or models, you guys can become either a channel member or a Discord subscriber. Link to either one of those options can be found in the description. Highly recommend that and stuff. Okay, so we're in. As you guys can see, we have on both sides, we have the round starts countdown and stuff. Okay, now if you're wondering why we don't have the profile picture, it's because like we're testing. These aren't actual players, right? Like this is a test. These aren't actual real people instead of actual real accounts. That's why there's no profile picture and stuff. So if you were concerned about that, don't worry. That's normal and stuff, right? I'll show you guys how we can test that when we're done. So the round should start, right? And as you can see, we're automatically on the spectators team, right? So once it's done, what it should do is it'll randomly choose one of us to be the killer, and then it'll move the killer over to the red spawn, and then whoever's the remaining person will be the survivor, and it'll move them to the survivor spawn. As you guys can see, there we go. Okay. I'm the survivor, move me over. He's the killer, moved into the killer spawn. Round ends in, and then we have our countdown, right? And then, oh, I forgot to test. Okay, now let's test our health, right? So we can actually go back here. So you can just go back to your game, right? Then you can just clean up, right? So to get rid of all that greatness. So if you click play, you'll see what I mean now, right? It works. It's just when you test because those aren't actual players. So now we can test the health and stamina system. So let's test stamina first. So if I hold shift, as you guys can see, I'm running faster. It's decreasing and stuff as I hold shift, right? And the bar is moving and stuff. So I'm just going to continue to hold shift until we get to 0. And then what should happen is once it reaches 0, once I run out of stamina and stuff, it should automatically stop me from sprinting, and it'll reset my walk speed back to the default of 16 and stuff. So we'll see, and there we go, right? I'm back to running by default and stuff. Now I can hold shift. If I let go of shift, it'll start regenerating stamina and stuff. Now it'll just start regenerating and stuff, increasing by 2. Now what should happen is it'll keep going, it'll keep increasing and stuff. Obviously if I start running again, it'll decrease, but once I stop, it'll increase, and it should increase back to 100. That should not go over 100. We will see in a second. 92, 94, 96, 98, 90, and there we go. Okay, now we're back to max. Now let's check our health. So switch to the server side, find your character, humanoid. Let's update our health to like 50. Let's say like 59 or something. Then go to the client side. As you can oh my. Oh my. I forgot about that. Oh, well, as you guys can see, it does work. As my health is regenerating and stuff, it does work and stuff. I'm regenerating my health as we speak, and the bar is adjusting accordingly. The only problem is the rounding. I forgot to round that. Go to the health function, which was at the top. It was the first function we made. So this we're just gonna need to round this. So we're just gonna just say math.round, right? And then you're just gonna throw in the player.health amount.value. So Control C, Control V, and then just put it in the parentheses. So yeah, I should round it. Now if we click play, and then let's do the same thing. It should just round it. So health. I'll do the same thing. we'll just, okay, where's health? We'll say 59 again. Then it should just be a whole number. Yeah, there we go. Now it's just a whole number, right? There we go. So yeah, everything works so far. If you guys enjoyed part one, you guys already know the drill. Just definitely leave a like, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. If you guys want a part two, show the video lots of love. Let me, leave some comments and stuff that you guys want a part two and whatever else you guys want to see in the series. I hope you guys enjoyed the series so far. If you enjoy, do like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Yo, what's good with y'all? Today's video, I got part two of how to make Forsaken. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support in part one. You guys went crazy. It's only been 2 days since it's been out. It has like 3,000 views at the time of me recording this. It has way more by the time obviously it's out and stuff. So obviously I had to hit you guys with the part two, and part three will be soon and stuff. So yeah, someone reported a bug to me and stuff. So oh, I forgot to mention this. If you guys do find any bugs or anything with like the scripts and whatnot, just let me know in the comments, and I will address it and stuff. So here are the changes I made for part two. I fixed the stamina bug that Logan Wallace X4T pointed out in the comments. So shout out to him. Stuff he pointed out this bug in the comments for me and stuff, and then I was able to go in and fix it. So it was a stamina bug where like it was a bug with the stamina system where like if you continue to spam like if you you're regenerating stamina, and then like you just kept spamming shift, your stamina would pretty much regen at a much faster rate because you were pretty much triggering the stamina regen function multiple times, so you had like multiple while loops playing. But the point is, it's fixed. Then I added a class system and stuff. So by class system I just mean you have what do they call, not villains, killers and survivors, right? Different types of killers and different types of survivors. Part three is going to be where I make a store system to where you can actually like one access them in an inventory, access which ones you have equipped to it, or which ones you have bought so that you can equip them, as well as make a store so that you can purchase them and everything, right? We're just going to make the default one for this video. And then for the last thing, a hotbar system to have our abilities and whatnot. So yeah, let's go ahead and get straight into the video and just make sure we're good. Okay, we are good. So first things first, let's start out with the UI, right? So let's go on over to Core GUI. We need to insert a new frame into Core GUI. We're going to insert this frame, right? Oh, by the way, if you haven't watched part one, go watch part one and stuff. If you're watching for the first time. But anyway, so you're going to want to rename this frame to hotbar frame. This is going to be where our three abilities go and stuff. So in Forsaken, it's like in like the bottom right. So you just put it. I mean, you can put it wherever. It's really up to you. But I'm gonna make the size, I think like 300 by 100, right? Like 300 by 100. I think that'll be good. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the background transparency to 1. I'm going to insert a UI grid layout so it automatically sizes and positions everything. So UI grid layout, I'm going to adjust it to be, I'm going to do the cell padding 10 by 5. So, okay, wrong thing. We're going to say 10 by 5. And then for cell size, it'll be 60 by 50. So pretty much cutting it in half. Bam, 60 by 50. Then we're going to go ahead and insert an image label, right? Or you guys can use image buttons, but yeah, because as you guys know, it has like images and stuff for the abilities. So you're going to want to, so very important, naming, very important. I recommend you guys just name everything like the same as me. When I say naming, I'm talking about like the names of the stuff, the names of the text labels and image labels and stuff, not like the actual like text and stuff. The customization, like the font and all that, and the colors and all that, completely up to you guys, and the sizing as well, up to y'all. So we're just gonna name this slot 1 image label. So this is for slot 1 of your hotbar or inventory, I guess, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna remove the default image by simply just clearing the URL and stuff. We're going to make hold on. We're gonna make the background color a nice dark grayish. It's gonna be faded. Background transparency will be set to 0.5. So something like that. It needs to be a darker gray now that I see that. Like that, right? I think it needs to be even darker actually. So something like that. There we go. Right? So slot 1 image label. Then I'm gonna do some customization and add some stuff. So plus icon, UI stroke, give it a nice white border. just like that. Then I'm going to go ahead and insert a text label into this, right? You're going to want to rename this text label to cooldown text label. So the way you want this to work is, right, you're going to make this the exact same size as your image label, which should be the same size as the UI grid layout. So 60 by 50. So you're just going to do, I don't know if this works, to be honest. It does work. Wonderful. Okay. So 60 by 50. The whole point is it's supposed to cover it and stuff. So like, when you're on cooldown, it pretty much covers it. So yeah. So bold text, rich text, scale text. The reason for this is so that this text label is going to be set like when you're on cooldown, it'll say like 45, 44, 43, like counting down how much time you have to wait. But no text by default. Text color will be changed to white. Text stroke color will be black. Text stroke transparency will be set to 0. Right. And then I will set the background color to now you want to make it pretty much have like a darker color than what you already have, but then background transparency will be like 0.5. Like when you actually do it, it's supposed to like just create like an over like shadow effect kind of thing, right? So like a darker, so you gotta make sure it's a darker color, but by default background transparency should be set to 1, right? So boom. Then you can go ahead and duplicate the cooldown text label. So select it, control plus D. Then you're going to want to rename this to call this keybind text label, right? And as you can probably imagine, just the keybind. So you're gonna set the text to whatever the keybinds are. Now in Forsaken, it's Q, E, and R. So that's what I'm gonna go with, right? I'm gonna make the background somewhat transparent, so I can see it. Okay, did not mean to do that. So I can see what I'm working with here. There we go. Okay, so it's gonna be right above it. Obviously, it does not need to be this big, so we could just do like that. And I think that should work. Then if I set the background transparency to 1, yeah, there we go. Yeah, so something like that. Something like that. I'm gonna move this down a little bit more. So I'm just gonna make this transparent, just move it down a little bit more because I feel like it's a little too high. So something like that. Then for the last thing, we're going to duplicate this, and then for our last thing, you're gonna name this ability name text label. Very important that you name it this stuff, right? Then you can just drag this under it. You want this to be under it. It's gonna be the name for the ability. So size, I forgot what I went with. Okay, definitely not that. Yeah, I think I just went with like something like this. So it's like right under it and everything, but we do need a test. This is a test. Let's see. Or actually no. Block C cola and stuff because it wouldn't be that long. The name wouldn't be that long. Okay, so now all we gotta do, right? We have 3 ability slots. So select it. All you gotta do is duplicate it and duplicate it again. Right? Oh, that's okay. Apparently I clicked the wrong thing. But yeah, so all you gotta do is just duplicate it and stuff, and then yeah, saving ourselves a whole bunch of time. So as you can see, it kind of overlaps a bit. So to fix that, what we will probably do is we will just continue to space them out a little bit more. You can just adjust it like this. You're gonna adjust the X value because that'll put space in between each one of them. There we go. Now they each have space. Then we gotta go through and make some adjustments. So just rename slot 2 image label and stuff. Oh, by the way, so if you have your images and you're wondering how you would set them, you would just go here to image, add image, then just go to your files and stuff. I don't have images for the video, but yeah, you guys can use images if you'd like. Then you're just going to slot 2, then you're going to go to your keybind text label, and then for this one it would be E. The last one it would be R. And change this to slot 2, and then slot 3, and then for the last thing, I'm gonna clear the ability name text labels simply just because I'm gonna clear their text simply just because we want to test to make sure that the system works and everything when we're done. So we're going to clear the text, so no text by default, and then just like that we have finished setting up the hotbar system. So that's all the UI I added. Okay, now one more thing before we get to the actual scripting. You're going to want to head on over to server storage plus icon folder. This is going to be our characters, so we're going to name this character folder. You're going to insert a folder inside of said folder. You're going to name this folder killers. It implies you're going to put your characters, the killer characters inside of the killers folder, right? Then you'll insert another folder into character folder, and then you're going to put survivors and then you put your survivors in here, right? So first, the survivors folder, let's insert a folder, right? We're gonna name this, I'm gonna make the noob class, right? Which is the default one in the game. Then you're going to insert some values so that we have some stats for the player. So first things first, we're gonna insert a number value, right? This is going to be this is going to be the price. So how much it costs by default, it'll just be 0, except since it's noob. The reason we're setting this up for the shop system as well, for like in part 3 stuff. Then you can go ahead and insert another number value. This will be health, how much health the player will have and stuff with using this class. We'll say 100 for the noob class by default. Then on to our abilities. So for the abilities, you're going to use a string value. You're going to specifically name them slot 1. Very important, because as you can see right here, you notice how it matches slot 1, right? So we're going to say slot 1. Then the value is going to be the name of the ability. So I'm just going to use the ones from the game. Biloxi Cola. Then you could just duplicate this. Then for the second one, it's like skin potion. Then just change this to slot 2. Then duplicate. We have ourselves slot 3. Then ghost burger, right? Then let's insert another number value. And then we have sprinting speed. This is our last thing, actually. Sprinting speed. So how fast the player runs and stuff. So I know I spelled it wrong. Sprinting speed. How fast the player can run. Then for this class, we'll say 24. Again, you guys can put whatever values you want. All that matters are that the names are the same. You guys can put whatever values you want. Right? And then that's our first class and everything, right? You guys can add more classes, obviously. I'm just making one just for the sake of demonstration, but you guys can, of course, make as many as you want for survivors and killers alike. Now we're done with that. So let's go ahead and move on to the scripting. Okay, so you're going to want to open up the local script, right? You're going to come down to like right here and stuff after the running variable. This is to fix the stamina glitch I was talking about. So you're going to create another variable. You're going to say regen active. As the name implies, you're going to say this value equal to false. As the name implies, this will keep track of whether or not the player is currently regenerating stamina. So that pretty much, if they're currently regenerating stamina, you can't trigger the function again, because like, well, no, you can trigger it again, but it'll check to see if they're currently regenerating. Because if they are regenerating, then it won't let you trigger another function, kind of thing. So, or start a second regen, if that makes sense. So first you'll say if regen active, which is the same as saying if regen active is equal to true. So if the player is currently regenerating, then press enter. You will say return, because they're already regenerating. There's no need to trigger another while loop. Then you'll say else if not regen active. So if they're not currently regenning, enter. Then you will set regen active is equal to true, because they are now currently regenerating, and then you'll move on to the while loop, and then just put a space in between that, right? Then you can scroll all the way down after the while loop and stuff. You're going to say regen active is equal to false, because this means the player has finished regenerating. So set that back equal to false, right? Then we're going to come down here, and then you see how right here for the walk speed, you see how we set it to a default speed. You guys remember this and stuff, how we set, like, for when the player is sprinting, we set it to a default speed of 32. Now we need to set it so that whenever the player tries to sprint, it actually changes their walk speed to whatever the sprinting speed of their current character is. So we're going to say player dot sprinting speed dot value, right? Let me just double check to make sure. Okay, we're good. All right, so value dot sprinting speed, right, dot value. Then we're going to, I think actually, or actually, yeah, there's like one more thing to do. So yeah, then we're gonna go all the way down here. Oh, I don't know why that's still there. Oh, that must be a glitch. Oh, that must be a glitch. Yeah, that must be a glitch. Not sure why that's. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's there. Let's see if I closing it. Okay, there we go. That fixed it. Okay, anyway, so then we're going to come down here, right? To make this easier for y'all, I would say just find the if statement, which is if event type is equal to round. Click this arrow right here, enter. So you're literally just going in between the two ends, like the two sets of ends, I should say. So two ends at the top, two ends at the bottom. Then you're going to say else if event type is equal to class. This event is for whenever a player switches classes, so it'll update their UI. So enter. You'll create a variable called ability list. It's going to be a table. So set the argument 1. It'll be a table with a list of their abilities. So you're going to say core GUI that hotbar frame. dot slot one image label dot ability name text label dot text is equal to ability list regular bracket 1. So for the first one, then we're just going to copy and paste. Select all of it. Control C or copy at the top. Then Control V, Control V. Bam. All you got to do, change the second one to 2. Change the third one to 3. Change this to slot 2 image label. Change this to slot 3 image label. And then just like that, we are done. Now we can move on to the server script. Okay. So going here, we're going to scroll down right here to right before the player added function. You're going to create a variable, our character folder. So local character folder is equal to game.serverStorage, wait for child, character folder, right? Then we're going to create a lot of new values. So you could just copy and paste either health amount or stamina amount, doesn't matter. So Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. I think that should be enough. So for the first one, it's going to be class. We're going to keep track of whatever class the player currently has equipped. So just copy and paste this. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V. This is of course going to be a string value now, not a number value and stuff. So the value, set it to an empty string by default, right? We're gonna set their class to the default class a little bit later. So then we're gonna parent this to the player. Then we'll have the sprinting speed. Sprinting, make sure I spelled that right. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V, and I spelled that right. And then by default, we'll set this to 24 for the default class because noob is the default class. Then for our next variable, we will call this leader stats. So it'll be a leader stats folder. We're going to create our currency system. So leader stats, Control C, Control V, Control V, delete that line, Control V, right? Then for the last thing, you're going to rename this to money. Again, another number value. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. By default, it should be 0 or whatever the default is. Then parent this to leader stats so that money can display. So that money will be displayed to the player. Then after this, you're going to set up a function. You're going to say class.changed. So whenever the player switches classes, connect. Oh my bad. Function close parentheses enter. You're going to create 3 variables. First slot 1. And then you're not gonna assign a value to them as of yet. Slot 1, slot 2, slot 3. Right, then you're gonna use a for I loop to find which character the player is currently switched to, or is currently using. For I v in pairs, you're gonna say character folder, get children, enter, right? You're gonna say if v find first child class.value. Remember, class.value is the equivalent to the name of the class. So we're currently like, I'll break this down because I know people get a little confused when it comes to for I loops. So we're right here. So we're going to say if v is one of these two, right? We're going to say if it finds the name of the class. So if it finds it inside of the killers folder, then it's a killer class. If it's inside the survivors folder, then it's a class for the survivors. It can only be one or the other, right? So then enter, then you'll proceed, right? And then you're going to create a variable. You're going to say local class folder is equal to v find first child class.value, which then brings us to here. And now we're inside of this folder, right? Then you'll set these values you set these variables value. Slot 1 is equal to class folder dot slot 1 dot value. Slot 2 is equal to class folder dot slot 2 dot value, and slot 3 is equal to class folder dot slot 3 dot value, right? So boom, that would be done there. And then I believe after we are done with, yeah, okay. So then after we're done with all that, we're going to fire the remote event, core event, fire client. Wait, no. No, I know I'm missing something. I know, yeah, I remember. Yeah, I am missing something. Okay, we need to also update some things. Hold on. The sprinting speed and the health. That's what it is. Okay, yeah. So we need to say player dot character dot humanoid dot health, or sorry, first thing is max health, is equal to class folder. What is it called? yeah, class folder dot health dot value, then player dot character dot humanoid dot health is equal to class folder dot health dot value, and then lastly sprinting speed. So let's just say sprinting speed dot value is equal to class folder dot sprinting speed dot value. Right, then okay, we'll come back here for the client, the name of the event. So firing to the specific client, comma, name of the event is class, comma, then we'll send over a list of the abilities which I need to create. So I will create a variable, name it ability list is equal to special brackets, then I'll just insert all of the abilities. So table.insert ability list, comma, slot 1, table.insert ability list slot 2, and then not task, table.insert ability list slot 3. Nice and simple. And that's not slot 3. Okay. Slot 3. And then we will send over the ability list. Bam. Right. And then the last thing we need to do is come down here. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I really don't know why it keeps doing that. It's so weird. And then we're gonna come down here. So in between this, right, we're going to say class.value this, and then you're going to put your default class here. So noob is my default class. This is the reason for this is so that it triggers this function, so it automatically will update upon the player joining. Now we can go ahead and test to make sure this works. As always, if you guys want access to any one of my scripts or models, you guys become either a channel member or a Discord subscriber. Link to either one of those options can be found in the description. If you guys want access to these scripts or any other ones, just look in the description for that. Stuff highly recommend that. But anyway, oh, I just realized I forgot something else. So yeah, ignore the breakpoint. I don't know. That's just a glitch with Studio, and I don't know why it does that. But I forgot one thing. Before we do this, we need to do not character, workspace, wait for child, player dot name. So wait for the character to load, because currently it's nil or null. Okay, there we go. No errors. So as you can see right here, it's updated the text, no text here and stuff because of my class. It's updated. So now I have my ability. What is that? Why is it invisible? Huh. Oh, that's the spawn. Right. Anyway, so we have the abilities, right? You guys see all the abilities and stuff. We have all that, and it sets everything. So let's do this. Let's create another class to test something. So I'm just gonna duplicate this, and I'm gonna call this test, right? You guys don't have to do this. I'm just showing you guys. Let's say health is like 50, right? And this is like test 1. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Test 3. I don't know why I keep clicking right there. Test 2, right? So let's click play, right? By default, we're going to be with the noob class. But if I change the class, or I change the value of the class to test, see how it switches. There we go. Very different now, right? So bam. So yeah, there we go. The class system works and everything. So yeah. Like I said, in part 3, I plan to make a inventory system to where you can access all of the classes you currently own, you can equip them and stuff, as well as make a shop system to where you can go and purchase other classes and stuff with the money you have in game. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely leave a like and subscribe. I will continue this series going so long as you guys keep showing the series love and support. That's all that matters. So yeah, just show the video lots of love like you did part 1. Thank you guys for all the love and support you showed on that video, and I'll see you guys in part 3. Thank you for watching. Yo, what's good with y'all? In today's video, we got part 3 of how to make Forsaken. And stuff, you guys showed part 2 some love, so of course I'd hit y'all with a part 3. So thank you for all the love and support you guys showed on part 1 and part 2. And stuff, of course I'm gonna hit y'all with a part 3. For everyone who keeps asking me to continue the series and whatnot, it's like I said in the comments, the series will continue so long as the series keeps getting love. If the videos stop getting love, then the series is gonna have to stop. That's how all my series work and stuff. I just wanted to make that clear to everybody. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get straight into part 3. Okay. So here's what I've done so far with part 3, right? I fixed 2 bugs that people addressed to me. Shout out to Born Voilist for letting me know about the health bar. So pretty much if you died, reset your character, whatever, your health bar wouldn't reset. It would just say 0 out of 100 and stuff. So shout out to Born Voilist for letting me know about that. I fixed that issue. Then there was also the issue where let's say you switch to a class that had less than or more than 100 health and stuff, the health bar wouldn't update to like fit that, like the sizing and the number wouldn't update that. So shout out to Gutsy Knight for letting me know, because now it reflects the current health for your specific class. Like let's say you have 50 health, the bar will shrink to like about halfway and stuff. It'll be full, it'll just be half its size, and it'll say 50 out of 50 as an example. So two bug fixes and then changes. Someone pointed out to me that the hotbar is invisible until the round starts. Like, as in, like, you're. Oh, I forgot to actually make that back visible. Anyway, so the hotbar, you shouldn't be able to see your skills until the round starts, right? Then I added malice. I didn't like add a malice system, hence why it just says the word malice. I just added the value and stuff. And I did add an inventory system, and then we're going to do a shopping system in part. This is part 3, so we're gonna add a shopping system in part 4. So everyone just be patient. We're adding each system one at a time and stuff. I don't want to add too much at once, because then each part would be like 50 minutes long. So I'm just trying to keep it to like 20-minute parts. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get straight into the video. Okay. So for the first thing, right, let's go ahead and let's take care of the UI. So as I mentioned with the notes and stuff with the hotbar, so in the game, the hotbar isn't meant to be visible. Your skills aren't meant to be visible until the actual round starts, right? So we're gonna open up Core GUI, go to your hotbar frame, set it to not visible. You're gonna uncheck it, right? Bam. Now what we need to do is we need to set up our inventory UI, right? So we can do that by clicking plus on the Core GUI. Let's insert a text button. We're going to name this inventory text button, right? Then I'm going to do bold text, rich text, scale the text. So the text, I'm just going to make a capital I. And then I'm just going to do the sizing 50 by 50. So we'll do that. We'll drag it like here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the background color to black. Background transparency will be set to 0.5. I'm going to insert a UI stroke to give it a white color. Oh, we're going to give it a white border. Then I'm going to insert a UI corner into it so that it's rounded. So we'll make sure that's a 20. And then I will go to the inventory text button. And I think what I'm going to do is, yes, change the text color to white. Text stroke transparency will be set to 0, and text stroke color will be black. Okay, so now we have our inventory text button, right? Now we need to set up our inventory frame. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert a frame into the Core GUI. Let's make this like 400 by 300, right? And then I'm just going to drag this to the middle and stuff, right? I'm going to set the background transparency to 0.5. Background color will be black. Then I'm going to insert a UI stroke into it. I'm going to set the color to white, right, and stuff. By the way, the customization, as always, the colors, the transparency, all that stuff, that's up to you guys and stuff. All that matters is that you do the naming and you parent everything correctly. But like the colors and everything, that's up to y'all, right? So rename the frame. You're gonna rename this frame to inventory frame. So this is where you're gonna go to see all of your killers and all the killers and what's the word, survivors that you own, right? So boom. Then you're going to want to insert a text button into the inventory frame. Top left, you're going to want to rename this button to killers text button, right? So we'll do bold text, rich text, scale the text, set the text equal to killers, right? We'll do black text. Text stroke color will be white. Text strokes and text. I can't speak. Text stroke transparency will be set to 0, and then we will leave the background color to be white, and background transparency will be 0.5. So if it's white, that's how you'll know it's selected and stuff, right? And then what you can do is you can just go ahead and duplicate this, drag this over to the other side. Clearly they're too big, so I'll just hold control while selecting both of them, and then just change both of their sizes to like 180, and then just move this one over. There we go. Now there's space. You'll rename your second button to survivors text button. So as you probably guessed, this is how you're going to be able to choose between viewing the killers you own and the survivors you own. We're going to have to change the background color to black. So boom, something like that. And then obviously we'll update the text so that it says survivors. So bam. So when it's white, when the background's white, that's how you know it's selected. So you can switch between killers and survivors, right? Then we're going to go ahead and insert a frame into our inventory frame. You're going to I have no idea what the hell I just did. Okay, so then we're going to want to go ahead and rename this frame to character frame. Here's where your characters are going to be. So we'll just put this like kind of in the middle, right? So let me set the size to like I might do like 350. Then like just move it over a little. There we go. And then maybe 250. Yeah, that looks good. So 250, we'll set the background transparency to 1. I will insert a UI stroke into the character frame. Give it a white border as well, right? Then you're going to want to insert a UI grid layout into it. This is going to override and control the size of our buttons inside. So for me, what I set it to is 150 by 50, but you guys can set it to whatever you want. 150 by 50, right? Boom. So we're going to do that. And then I believe that would be it for the, yeah, I believe that's it for the UI. Okay. So by default, obviously you want to set the inventory frame to not visible. Stuff will make it visible when they click the button, and then boom, just like that, we are done with our UI changes. Now we can get on to the scripting changes. Okay. So let's go ahead and open up the local core script, right? We're going to scroll down a little bit to down here. Not totally sure why there are breakpoints on the script. I'm not totally sure what's going on up here. I'm just gonna delete. Okay, let me just go back into it. No idea why it says there are breakpoints. Anyway, okay, so we're gonna go here. We're gonna go down, and we're going to look for the in progress. You guys should see on the on client events the in progress, right? So when the round starts, we're gonna make it so that their hotbars are visible, so that players can see their hotbars and stuff. So wait, what did I do it? Oh, right here. So after we set the round text, so right here, you're going to say core GUI dot hotbar frame dot visible is equal to true. So you're gonna make it visible for when the round starts. And by the way, I do know that the round doesn't end. Again, we're going to just be patient, guys. We're gonna get to everything. We have to baby steps and stuff. Shop system is next. Then we'll have to work on the malice system for determining the killer. Then round ending, and then like the killer's abilities, M1s, and like there's a lot of stuff that needs to be made. So just be patient. Okay, so we have that. Then you guys are going to scroll down here to, why is there another breakpoint right there? Okay, so weird. Anyway, so you guys see we have the event type class, right? So I added something. This is a part of the bug fix I mentioned with their health bar needing to reflect how much health the player's current class has. So we're going to add another variable. We're going to say local max health. We're going to send that over from the server side. So this will be equal to argument number 2. You're going to go after this, and you are going to say core GUI.info frame, right? Info frame dot full health text label dot size is equal to udm2 dot new 0 comma max health comma 0 comma 25, right? Then you're also going to set the health text label. So core GUI dot info frame dot health text label dot text is equal to math dot round. You'll say player dot health amount dot value, go on the outside, dot dot dot, quotation marks, slash, dot dot dot, and you'll say max health. So you'll be updating the text as well as the full health size, right? Then after that, we're gonna go ahead and create. I still don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, then we're gonna go down here. I really have no idea why it is doing that. So then we're gonna go down here and, well, let me just see. It won't cause any problems, right? That See, that's so. I don't know why it's doing that. I honestly don't know. I don't know where these things are coming from. I don't know why it has these random I don't know why it has these random breakpoints on the thing. Delete, delete, delete. I don't know why it has these random things. I just want to make sure it's a glitch. And okay, there we go. So yeah, we'll be good. All right. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Right. So math.round player.health amount value blah blah blah. So then after that, we're gonna go ahead and set up our, yeah, just ignore the red dots, by the way. So after that, we're gonna go ahead and set up a function. It's gonna be called populate inventory. So we're gonna say local function populate inventory, and then in the parentheses you're going to put class type, which is going to be one of two things, either killer or survivor. Enter, right? So then this is pretty much the function that's going to add all of either the killers or the survivors that you currently own. So you're going to say for I comma v in pairs core GUI dot inventory frame dot character where's character frame? Yeah, character frame, get children, enter, then check it. Make sure, of course, that it is a text button. If it is enter, then V destroy. Because let's say we're switching from killer to survivor. We want to, clear everything out of the character frame aside from obviously this stuff, right? Or if let's say we just bought a new killer, right? We want to update it and stuff, right? So we'll clear it all out. Then we'll go on to our second loop. We'll say for I, comma v in pairs. You're gonna say player.owned classes, which is a folder we're gonna create to keep track of the classes the players own. You're gonna say get children, close parentheses, enter. You're going to say if v.value. So the way it's going to work is the values inside of the own class folder are going to be string values. The name of the string is going to be equal to the name of the class. The value is going to be whether or not it is a killer or it's a survivor. That's how you can differentiate between the two. So we'll say v.value is equal to class type. Remember, this value is either going to be equal to survivor or killer, right? So pretty much based on what that is, we're going to add text buttons for the classes that you own, as long as it matches the type. So we're gonna say local class text button is equal to instance.new text button. Then we're gonna set some properties. Class text button dot name is equal to v dot v dot name dot quotation marks. You're gonna say text button enter class text button dot text is equal to v dot name class text button dot background color 3 is equal to color 3 dot new. I believe this is supposed to be, I think this is supposed to be white. Or was it black? This might be black. Hmm. Now that I think about it, I honestly do not remember. Because like 0.11, what is 0.11? Oh, it's like a dark faded. It's like a dark shaded gray. I see now. Okay. Then we'll say class text button dot text color 3 is equal to, again, colors is up to you guys, by the way. Color 3 dot new 1 comma 1. Okay, 1 comma 1. There we go. Then class text button dot text stroke transparency will be set to 0. Class text button dot rich text will be set to true. Class text button dot font face dot bold will be set to true. Class text button dot text scaled will be set to true. Class text button dot parent will say is parented to core GUI dot inventory frame dot character frame. Then we'll set up the function for if a player clicks on the button. So class text button dot activated connect function close parentheses enter. You'll fire the let's say core event fire server in quotation marks. You'll say class to trigger the class event, comma, and then of course we need to send over the name of the class. So class text button dot text, right? And then let me see. I think I just realized probably need a way to like tell if it's equipped. No, it should be fine. Yeah, it should be fine. If anything, I'll just do it in the future. But yeah, so this is so that players can equip a class. Then we are done with that function, right? The whole point is we made it into a local function that we can just call to save ourselves some time instead of having to copy and paste this like 3 different times. So then after that, we're going to set up the inventory text button function. We're going to say core GUI dot inventory frame, or sorry, not inventory frame, inventory text button dot activated connect function close parentheses enter. You will say core GUI dot inventory frame. You're just setting it to how it is now. So killer's text button dot background color 3 is equal to color 3 dot new 1 comma 1 comma 1. So white. Then core GUI dot inventory frame dot survivor's text button dot background color 3 is equal to color 3 dot new 0 0 0. Right. Then you'll trigger the populate inventory function. Obviously, by default, we want to have the killer side visible and stuff. That's how it is in the actual game. Or when you press your inventory button, it automatically shows you killers first, and then you can switch to survivors if you want to. So we'll have that. Then afterwards, we will of course just say core GUI dot inventory frame dot visible is equal to not core GUI inventory frame dot visible, so that we can make it so that it can be turned on and off. Then we're pretty much just gonna copy this in all honesty. So you can really just duplicate this. So you could just select it or just copy it, I should say. Then just paste and then paste. And then you're just gonna change it. So this, you're gonna say inventory frame for the second one, then let's say killers text button, right? The killers, literally, the killers text button stuff, right? I kid you not, the killer's text button stuff, it's literally the exact same thing. It's literally the exact same thing as this, except you're just, not changing the frames visibility. It's the exact same thing as this. Great. Then you come down here, and then this is where it switches, right? So obviously we don't need this, so we can remove that. You're just gonna switch these two, because survivors is now is now showing the survivor side, and then obviously just change this to survivor. And then boom, right? You're done with the local script. Then now we can move on to the server script, right? And then let's create some new values. So scroll down to the leader stats. So first, this is a mistake I made that no one caught. I've forgotten leader stats is supposed to be a folder, right? It's supposed to be a folder, not a number value. So go ahead and change that. Then after money, we're gonna add two new values. So go ahead and copy this, Control C or Control plus C, then Control V and Control V. So this we're gonna add, like I said, we're adding malice. So malice. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. From what I understand correctly, this is supposed to start at 1, I believe, right? Then we need to create our own classes folder to keep track of the classes the player currently owns. So we'll say own classes is equal to, just like leader stats, this would be a folder. And then the name will be the exact same, owned classes. Folders don't have values, and then you'll just parent this to the player. Boom. All right, we're done with that. You'll scroll down. We're going to need to create a new variable here because remember, we now keep track of the max health and stuff so that it updates per character. So we'll, like whenever this, I mean, per class, I should say. So we'll create a new variable. So max health, we'll treat it just the same as we did these and stuff, right? Before the workspace wait for child, we'll say max health is equal to class folder dot health dot value, right? Then after that, we will scroll. I want to say that this is, oh, right here. We'll scroll right here and then we'll add this at the end of the ability list. So we'll also add max health. We will send that over. Then you'll go here. This will address the other bug and stuff. So this will reset the player's health bar and stuff when they respawn and everything. So this fixes this issue right here. So you're going to go to the player.character added function, and before your health change function, you're going to say player.health amount value is equal to character.humanoid.health, right? So boom, that fixes that issue, right? Then you're going to scroll all the way down. We are going to add a wait, what am I looking at here? Oh, yeah, we're going to add a new function. So you're going to go down after all of this, then you're going to say core event dot on server event connect function in parentheses put PLR, which is short for the player, comma event type, comma arg1, which is short for argument number 1. Enter, then you're going to say if event type is equal to in quotation marks class. Enter, so if this is if the player is trying to switch classes that they currently own. So you could say local class name is equal to arg1. If you wanted to verify on the server side to make sure that they own the class, you could just say if player dot owned classes find first child class name. And then, if you wanted to just double check that and stuff, just to be on the safe side and everything, you could do that. But yeah, we'll just update their value. So player.class.value is equal to class name, and then boom, right? Like I said, because just making sure we're good. Yeah, see, this is already 20 minutes long. The shop system would have made this video like 30 minutes long. So yeah, shop system will be covered next part where you can actually buy stuff and save, and we'll do data saving as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and test to make sure all of this stuff work. I don't know why I have all these breakpoints and stuff. Hold on. So we need to test. Okay, so first let's test the inventory system. Okay, so if I click play, right? If I click play, right? Wow, that is crazy. I did not know you could receive invites in Steam. That's actually crazy. Anyway, so as you can see, we can open and close the inventory and survivor system, and as you can see, we could switch. That is not working. Okay, let's see. Killer's text button. Oh, see, I didn't change this. My bad, guys. So the last function is supposed to be inventory frame dot survivors text button. That's my bad. So just change that. So boom, as you can see. Okay, now we need to test. Okay, so obviously I don't have any classes that I own at the moment. So we need to go add some. Where's the own classes? Why is it a number of? Okay, and I guess I forgot to change that as well. My bad, guys. This is why I test at the end of the videos to make sure. What? What? Oh, my bad. Oh, my bad. I forgot. Good job, Z. Good job, V. Good job, V. Make sure you do that. Okay, there we go. This is why I test at the end of the videos. Okay, there we go. Now we have the own classes folder. Okay, so I'm going to switch to the server side, right? And I'm going to input some value. So this is what it'll look like, right? So let's say we'll call this test survivor, right? And the value will be either survivor, oh my bad, will be either survivor or I keep thinking villain or killer. So test survivor and test killer, right? So we've inserted these values into own class to test, right? So it's simulating as if I actually own these classes, right? So if I open up the inventory system, you can see I clearly have the test killer and I also have test survivor. Boom, very simple. So, and as you can see, I can switch in between the two. If I close it, it'll go back to killer, and I can switch between the two. Um, Inside in the server side, as you guys know, inside of my character folder, I have for survivor I have noob and test. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the name of the test killer, or no, not test killer. I'm gonna change the name of the test survivor to just test because that's the name of the class here. And then you guys are gonna see that it'll update to test, which will half my health, so we can test it to fix the bug. So if I switch to test, as you can see, the bar updated to reflect it is now 50-50 and stuff, and I have now switched to the test class. So yeah, there we go. And then I'm going to trust myself to hope that the hotbar does in fact enable itself when the round starts. If it doesn't, just let me know. I'll fix it. And if you guys find any bugs, as always, just let me know in the comments, and I will address them in the next part and stuff, right? And everything. So yeah, if you guys are enjoying the series so far, definitely leave a like, subscribe. Like I said, as long as the series continues to get love and support, I will continue the series. If you guys are interested in any one of my scripts or models, definitely check out the description to learn how to get access to them and stuff. And yeah, just keep showing the series love and support, and more parts will continue coming. Like I said, part 4 will cover the shop system as well as data saving. And yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Yo, what's good with y'all? In today's video, I got how to make Forsaken. I think this is I'm pretty sure this is part 4. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is part 4 and stuff because part 3 drops tomorrow. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this is part 4. So yeah, in part 4 and everything, I added the shop system and stuff. I also made it so stats are visible when the game starts because that's how it's supposed to be. Speaking of which, I forgot to turn that back on. Anyway, now, and I did add something that a million people have been asking me for, the skin system. Now, the system is not complete yet. It's only for default skins and stuff so far. We're going to add on to it in probably the next part and stuff. So just be patient. I'm adding stuff slowly but surely. Thank you all for all the love and support you've been showing in the series, and let's go ahead and get straight into it. Okay, so for part 4, like I said, we added the shop system, right? So let's go ahead and get to making that UI and stuff. Great thing is we're pretty much just duplicating the inventory system. So we're just going to be doing a lot of copying and pasting and duplicating. So find the inventory button, duplicate that, then just move it above it. You could just rename it to shop text button. Go to the text, change it from an I to an S, right? Then find the inventory frame, duplicate that, so select it and press Control plus D, right? Rename this frame to shop frame, right? And then you can go ahead and make it visible just for the sake of us editing stuff. So then what we're gonna do is we're pretty much leaving everything the same essentially. Only difference is you're going to go over to the trying to think. You're gonna open up the character frame, go to the UI grid layout. I did make some changes to this, but again, you guys can set this to whatever you want to. So I changed this to be 15 by 22, but you guys can choose whatever numbers you want, whatever works for you guys, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to rename this frame to killer frame, right? And then we're going to go ahead and insert a text button. Okay, so I want to explain how this works. Okay, so this is the shop system, right? We're going to have a killer frame and then a survivor frame. We're going to make the survivor frame once we finish with the killer frame, right? So this is going to be a list of killers that people are able to buy because this is the shop system and stuff, right? So you need to, like, right now, or whenever you get a chance to, you need to make a text button for each character your game has. Like for the killer side as well as the survivor side, you need to have you're going to pre-make that. Like the script, we're not going to have the script to create that. You're going to have to, insert that whenever you make a new character or whatever. So I'm going to make two examples for you guys. So let's go ahead. We have our first text button. I'm just going to name them all the same thing. I'm just going to name it killer text button for this, right? So killer text button. I inserted this text button into the killer frame, by the way. Then we're just going to do some customization with it. Bold text, rich text, scale the text. White text color will be white. Text stroke color will be black. Text stroke transparency will be set to 0. And then the background color will just be, I think I just opted for like a transparent black, I think, or maybe I went for like a gray. I don't really know. So like 0.5, so something like that, right? Yeah, something like that, right? And then you're going to, this is very important. This is very important, right? So inside the character folder, right? Right. Ignore the fact that I have new characters. I'm gonna get into that part, but it's very important. The text, right? The name needs to match the names here, right? It needs to match the names out of your character folder, right? So for the first one, this is the killer side. So let's go ahead and do the killers. So I'm gonna do Jason. What that means is, right? This will not work if you do this. Right? Why? Because it's a lowercase j and that's uppercase j. They have to match. So they have to be the exact same as the names inside of the folder, the character folder, right? So Jason, right? Then you're gonna want to go ahead and insert a text label into the text button, right? And this is going to be much smaller. So for this text label bold, rich text, scale the text, you're going to set the text to whatever the price is for that character and stuff. Since the Jason killer is free and stuff, we're just gonna put free. Then we're just gonna do the same thing. White text stroke transparency will be set to 0. Text stroke color will be black. And then I'm just going to set the background transparency to 1. And then we're going to make this, obviously, it does not need to be this gigantic. We're just going to set this like, maybe like 25, but okay, that might be, that's kind of OD. I think that's OD. And then rename this to price text label. So here you're going to manually set the prices for your characters and whatnot. So we definitely need to make this a little bit, definitely maybe go back to 50 by 50, or no, I think 30. Yeah, there we go. That should be good. And then you're just gonna put it like, you're just trying to go like under, like under it and stuff, right? So then once you have your killer text button, once you're ready to make your next one, all you gotta do is just duplicate it. Boom, it automatically space it over. I recommend going to the UI grid layout and setting the where is it? Horizontal alignment to center, so that it centers them nice. It look like this. It centers them and makes it look a lot nicer. Okay, for our second one, right? This is gonna be our second killer. So this one will actually, you'll have to pay for it. And this will be John Doe, right? That's the one I have here, John Doe, right? Just like in the actual game. Then the price text label, obviously John Doe isn't free, so we're gonna set the price to 1,000, right? Now keep in mind, this isn't the official price tag. Like the price tags are inside of here. This is just displaying it to the player. Like if you were worried about like exploiters taking advantage of this, all this is for display. The actual prices are inside here. The server will verify all that stuff. But anyway, so once we finish this, we have completed our killer frame, right? Then what we can go ahead and do is you can select the killer frame, and then you can duplicate it. So duplicate, right? And then you're going to want to rename this one to survivor frame, right? And then go ahead and make the killer frame not visible. And then now we have our survivor frame, right? So what we're going to need to do is go into the survivor frame and of course rename these text buttons to survivor text button, and then you're just going to simply update the stuff with the survivor information. So survivor text button, right? Boom. Then you're going to just go here, and then for our survivors we have noob and then 007 and 7. So for the first one we'll just have noob, then that's free. For the second one we have 007 and 7, right? And then the price, I forgot what it was. Okay, so 500. So the price for the second survivor is 500. So we'll just say 5. We'll just set it to 500. Again, prices and stuff, that's completely up to you guys and stuff. That's completely up to y'all. So boom, we have our survivor frame. So once you're done editing your survivor frame, right, you're going to make the survivor frame not visible because obviously by default the killer side, the killer's part of the shop will be visible first and stuff by default when you press the shop button. Same way it's the exact same way the inventory system works. So set the killer frame to visible and the survivor frame should not be set to visible, right? And then just like that, we are done with the UI. Like I said, we're just really just doing some copying and pasting. So once you're done with all that, then set the shop frame to not visible, right? And then boom, we're done with the UI changes. Um, I guess before I get into the scripting stuff, I wanted to get into the character folder stuff. Okay, so here's what I did. The character folder. You'll notice that I have two killers now when I added a survivor, right? Now I already explained to you guys how to, like set up characters. So like all you would have to do is just like duplicate a character folder and then just change the cost, the health, the slots, the sprinting speed. Like all you would have to do is just adjust all those stats. You guys already know how to do that. The only thing that's really different, like I said, I added new ones and stuff like that. That's really it and stuff, which you guys should know how to do because I showed y'all. The only thing I added is skins, right? So pretty much you're just gonna go to your the class and stuff. You're gonna insert a folder into that folder, rename it to skins, and then you're going to put in your rig, right? You're gonna put in your rig. You can get this stuff from the toolbox. Don't ask me where to get the rigs and all that stuff. That you guys have to figure that out. I simply just got these ones from the toolbox, and to be honest with you, they don't even match the actual classes. They're like random classes from Forsaken, to be honest with y'all. And stuff. You guys have to figure that out, right? But you're gonna insert these rigs into this folder, into the skins folder, right? And then you're going to name each rig by like whatever the name of the skin is. So obviously the default one and stuff, right? Which is like, the base version. You're just gonna name that to default, right? Just to clarify something, let's say you have a skin and you try to equip the skin and whatnot, and like your player comes out like, I know this sounds wild, but your player comes out like all black and stuff, and everything, and doesn't match the like what you were going for and stuff. That means there's like an issue with like the rig or whatnot, and I cannot help you with that. That is a issue with the model you're using or something else that I can't help you with. I just want to let people know. I don't want people to comment that that wasn't working for them. So yeah. So yeah, that's all that's really it for the character folder and stuff. I didn't really change anything. I just added the skins stuff. Like I said, in future parts I'll show you guys how to have multiple skins and have it where like a player can toggle between the different skins. But for now, we're just gonna have the default skins. Okay. So moving forward, we can now move on to the script changes. So open up the local core script. Let me just double check. Okay, we're good. So then you're gonna scroll a good ways down, not gonna lie. And then, like I said, I fixed it to where, why do we have breakpoint? I swear, this is so annoying. Why does it keep doing this? Why do we have breakpoints? Okay, so we're gonna go to when the round starts. So right here, you guys remember how we made it so the hotbar frame is visible? We also need to make it so that the stats frame, because apparently you're not supposed to see stats until the round starts. So go to Core GUI, find the info frame, and then make it not. What the hell? Oh, I closed it. I'm like, what? So then make it not visible, and then you're gonna go here, and then you're simply just gonna say core GUI dot info frame dot visible is equal to true, right? Then you're gonna scroll all the way down to the inventory function, this part right here and stuff. Since we now have two frames and stuff, and everything, we want to make sure that, like, let's say you open up the shop, we want to close the inventory, or if you open up the inventory and you have the shop open, we're going to close the shop. So you're simply just going to throw an if statement here. You're going to say if core GUI that inventory frame dot visible is equal to true, enter. Then you'll say core GUI dot shop frame dot visible is equal to false, right? Then moving on, we're going to go down here. You're just going to go down past all of that, right? And then we're going to go ahead and set up the verify shop function, right? So it's similar to the populate inventory function, but just a little different. So we're going to say local function. You're going to say verify shop. So this is pretty much just verifying any characters that you already own and stuff, right? Because keep in mind, we've already made all the characters that are for sale. So all we're doing is just seeing if like, oh, you already own one of these characters and stuff. So enter. You're going to say if, oh my bad, we are sending over an argument of the shop type, of course. So shop type, this would be either killers or survivors. So we'll say if core GUI dot shop frame find first child shop type quotation marks frame, because remember inside of the shop frame it's going to be either killer or survivor, and then it'll be killer frame or shop frame, right? So if it finds it, then you'll create a variable for the character frame, which is equal to core GUI dot shop frame find first child. I generally don't even know if I honestly use this, to be honest. Quotation marks frame, right? So same thing. Then you're gonna say for I comma v in pairs. You're gonna say player dot owned classes. You're gonna check to see, right? You're gonna compare if the player owns any of these current classes. So you're gonna say get children, close parentheses, enter. Then you're gonna use a second for loop. You're gonna say for j comma f in pairs character frame get children, enter. Then you'll say if f is a text button and f.text is equal to v.name. Pretty much what this means is if the text button's text, which is the name of the class, is equal to the name of one of the classes inside of the own classes folder, that means the player owns it, right? So then enter, then we need to make one more check. We need to say if string.find f.price text label.text comma quotation marks, then in parentheses you're just going to put owned, right? You're going to say owned, enter, then you'll say continue. So we're just going to skip this. The reason for this is so that we're going to make it so that if the player owns the class, we're going to set the price to owned in parentheses so the player knows that. The problem is that if you, like, let's say open up the shop again and it already says the word owned, it'll just keep adding the word owned. It'll just keep adding it. So what we need to do is, with this check in place, we'll just skip this iteration and stuff, right? So we're then afterwards we're going to say f dot price text label dot text, and we're going to update it. So we're going to say it's equal to f dot price text label dot text dot quotation mark space, and in parentheses we're going to put owned, right? To let the player know that they already own that class or character, whatever you want to call it. Then afterwards, after 3, you're going to skip 3 ends. You're going to say if shop type is equal to killer, enter. Then you'll say core GUI dot shop frame dot killer, not killer text button, killer frame dot visible is set to true, and then of course the opposite for survivor. So survivor frame dot visible is equal to false. Then you're just going to do the opposite. Else if shop type is equal to wait, I feel like I'm spelling that wrong. I am in fact spelling that wrong. Survivor, enter. Then you would just do the opposite. So you could really just select this, Control C, Control V, and then you're just going to do the opposite. So this would be true, that would be false. Bam, and we are done with the verify shop function. Okay, so then after that, moving on, we're going to go ahead and just set up the stuff. This is very similar to what we did with the inventory system stuff. You're going to say core GUI dot shop text button dot activated connect function, close parentheses, enter. And then we can really just save ourselves some time. So you're just going to scroll all the way up here to the inventory function, right? Line 164 and stuff where we did the inventory stuff when you press the inventory button. So you're just going to copy and paste this stuff. So just copy and paste. Saves us a whole bunch of time. Then all you got to do is just change this from obviously shop, inventory frame to shop frame. Right, we're going to change to that. You're going to change the function, of course, to verify shop, and then you're still sending over the killer, and then you're just going to say shop frame is equal to not shop frame, right? Then down here, you're just going to check. You're just going to check this. You're going to say shop frame that visible, and then you'll change this to inventory frame. Saves us a whole bunch of time. Then afterwards, we are going to go back up here and just save ourselves some time and stuff. You're just going to copy and paste these two functions. So copy. Again, we're literally just taking the code from the inventory system, and then we're just changing it around. That's all we're doing. So shop frame, right? So shop frame, killer text button, and then you're just going to change this to shop frame, and then just change this to verify shop, right? Shop frame, Control C, Control V, Control V, and then verify shop. Bam, right? And then after you're done with that, now we're going to set up the functions for whenever you try to purchase for whenever you try to purchase either a killer or a survivor. So we're gonna require two for loops for this. So we're gonna say for I comma v in pairs. You're gonna say core GUI dot shop frame dot killer frame. I don't know why I keep doing that. Killer frame get children. Enter. You're gonna say if v is a text button. Enter. Right. You're gonna say v.activated connect function close parentheses enter. You're gonna say if not player.owned classes find first child, pretty much just checking to make sure that the player does not already own said class, so that we don't waste, so that we don't waste time firing their remote event for no reason. So if they don't own it, enter. If they don't own the class, then we'll fire their remote event. So core event fire server in quotation marks, the name of the event will be by comma v dot text, so the name of the class, and then you're just going to do task dot wait 1 second, and then you're going to trigger the verify shop function again. And then this will be for the killers, because this is trying to purchase a killer and stuff. The reason, first of all, what this is doing, right? Let's say you try to purchase a new character, right, and stuff. We want the menu to update that to reflect it if you successfully purchase the character. So we're gonna trigger this function so that it updates, like, oh, okay, you own it, you now own it. The reason why we have this wait period and stuff is because this function would move faster than, like, it would be completed a lot faster than, like, the verification um to buy a character on the server side and stuff. So we just have to wait a little second. Then great news, we just copy and paste all we just did. Copy, go afterwards, paste it. Then, as you guys probably assumed, just change some words. Survivor frame, v.activated, v.activated. It's all the same thing, by, and then just change this to survivor, and we are done with the local script changes. Okay, let's go ahead and let's move on to the server script and stuff, right? So let's go on to the server script. Okay, first things first, I really don't understand why there are all these breakpoints. I can't wait till they fix whatever stupid glitch or whatever this is. Okay, so first things first, you're going to go down and you're going to find the variable for the character folder. Boom. Should be in the middle. You're just going to copy this or cut it. You want to delete it and you're going to put it at the top. We need this at the top now. So just paste it, right? Boom. Once you're done with that, so once you are done with that, we're going to scroll down. This is going to be the skins part that I mentioned and stuff. So we're gonna go after the killers after we set the team. Yeah, right here. So after we set the killers team and character and everything, we are then going to update their rig. So we were gonna say for I comma v in pairs, and I just realized we're doing a for I. We are in fact doing a for I. Oh wow, that is interesting. Probably would be better to do a JF loop instead. Now that I think about it. Okay, we'll do a JF, or not JF loop, we're just going to say JF. This is the for loop. So for JF in pairs, then in parentheses, you're going to say character folder, get children, enter, you're going to say if F, find first child, you're going to say killer.class.value, so if it finds the killer's class, enter, then you're going to create a variable for the class folders. Class folder is equal to F, find first child, killer.class.value, right? Then you're going to get the description. So you're just gonna call this description and stuff. You're going to say class folder. Remember the skins folder I talked about. Then we're gonna get the default skin. Again, I'll show you guys how to do other skins and stuff in the future. So default dot humanoid. Then you're going to do get applied description. So the server pretty much gonna copy and stuff the character onto the player. So then you're going to say killer dot character that humanoid apply description. Then you're going to put description, right? Boom. Then we're just going to do the same exact thing for the player. So not for the player, for the survivors. So copy that code. You're going to go inside of this you're going to go inside of this for loop, and you're just going to go after this part. You're going to paste the code. Then I remember I just changed some things around. So we have the character folder, if I find first child. And then this needs to be V instead of, or not V, this needs to be F. My bad. Oh, actually, well, actually, oh no, 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 my bad. This actually does need to be V. Yes, this does need to be V. So if F, then V, um, and class folder is equal to F find first child, and then change this again to V, then class folder, and then change this to V dot character dot humanoid. Apply this. Yep. Oh, I just realized there are two R's by mistake, and then boom. Okay. So just like that, it'll update their rigs, and yeah. Then we can scroll down here. So for the own classes folder, you're gonna have to create values for each character that the player owns and stuff, right? So let's go ahead and create those real quick. I'm creating these values simply just for the sake of the default skins and stuff, right? Or sorry, not the default skins, the default characters that the players will own. So I'm just gonna copy that. I'm just gonna paste this twice. Um, didn't I just copy this? Copy. Okay, there we go. Paste and paste. Then I'm just going to do, for the first one, our default ones are going to be Jason, or I keep saying default, or default characters, I guess, I don't know, the free ones. This is going to be a string value, so Jason, Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V. Obviously, that'll be the name, right? Jason.value. The value should be set. The name will be the name of the character. The value will be whether or not it is a killer or a survivor. So killer, and then you're going to parent this, of course, to the own classes folder, right? Then you can really just copy that. Control C, Control V. Then just change the second one to noob stuff. Again, you guys can do whatever names and stuff y'all want. Control V, Control V, Control. Oh, wrong thing. Control V, and then just Control V, and then this will be a survivor, right? So boom. Then afterwards, you're literally going to scroll all the way down, and we're going to set up the purchase new character function. So go down here, go. Oh wait, is it after? No, it's right here. So go enter. You're going to say else if event type is equal to buy. Enter, create a variable for the class name. Once again, class name is equal to arg1. Right? And then you're going to set up two loops. Or wait, no, it's just, sorry, it's just one loop. You're going to say for I, comma, v in pairs, character folder, get children, enter. You're going to say if v, find first child, class name, enter. Then you'll set up a variable for the class folder, which is equal to v, find first child, class name, right? Then you'll simply just check to make sure that the player can afford it. So if player dot leader stats dot money dot value is greater than or equal to class folder dot cost dot value. Recall you can set the cost of uh, characters inside of their folder. So if it's greater than or equal to that, then enter. Then you'll say player dot leader stats dot money dot value is less than or equal to class folder dot cost dot value, right? Then after that, you then create a new class value. So you'll say, this is what you're going to put inside of the own classes folder. So you'll say, you call this class value is equal to instance.new. Remember, it is a string value, right? The name, or not, sorry, not class folder, class value. The name will be the name of the class. The value will be whether or not it is a killer or a survivor. The way you're going to be able to tell, you're going to say string dot split class folder. I want to explain what this is. Class folder dot parent dot name, and then you're going to say comma quotation marks lowercase s, very specific lowercase s. Then go on the outside vector bracket 1. Now I want to explain what this is. So we're splitting the string, right? So simply we're going to the class folder, right? We're going to the class folder. This is the specific class folder. So let's say we're talking about the new, let's say you're trying to buy this survivor, right? So this is the folder for that, right? Now we're getting that the parent, right, which is survivors. Then we're getting the name, which is the name is survivors, right? The only problem with this is that if you guys recall, we don't say killer for the if you recall for the classes, we don't do killers, like, we don't do plural, we do singular, so it has to be without the s. But I named it with an s here because we're talking about, we're being, like, I mean this in a plural sense here because we're talking about multiple killers and multiple survivors, right? So we had to simply remove the s and stuff so that it matches and everything. Then you're gonna say class value dot parent is equal to player dot owned classes, and just like that, we are done. Let's go ahead and test to make sure everything works. As always, if you guys want access to any one of my scripts or models, you guys can just read the description to find out more about that. Okay, so if we click play, let's go ahead and test this. So if I open up the shop, I can open and close the shop. I can switch between killers and survivors. You'll notice how it automatically says I own. You'll see how it updates to say that I own them already because they are already present inside of the own classes folder and stuff. If I switch to the server side, open up my player, go to my leader stats, and I give myself 1,000 money, right? And then I'm gonna try to buy John Doe. Boom. I bought John Doe. It took a second, then it updated to say owned, right? And then you'll see the new John Doe value inside of the owned classes folder. Then I can close the shop system and stuff, right? You see it still says it's owned. I obviously cannot buy this survivor since I don't have enough money. If I go to the inventory, you'll see that John Doe is now a character that I can equip and stuff. I can equip and I can become John Doe, right? Boom, very simple. Now I'm gonna switch back to the noob class and stuff, and everything, right? And then here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you guys real quick. Let's go ahead and publish. I'm going to test and I'm going to start up a test server to show you guys that, when the round starts and everything, it'll, what's the name? It'll give us the rigs. And by the way, I just want to make something clear. I am aware that I am aware of something where like, let's say the person who chooses to be the killer, if they have like the default class, it'll just leave them as a noob. I'm aware of that. I'm gonna probably fix that in the next part and stuff and everything to make it so that like literally just building everything one piece at a time. If I do notice any bugs that I haven't mentioned and stuff that I haven't directly addressed, then of course let me know in the comments and I will fix it. Multiple people have done that. Shout out to all those people. I really do appreciate it and stuff. Because obviously I'm not gonna notice everything, and I never played the game before I started making the series, so I don't know much about it. But okay, so the round should start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and our rigs should change in due time. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, the rigs changed. They're the same because we're the same class. And so, like I said, I know this is the avatar for like a different it's like a different class and stuff, but the whole point was just to get the point across and stuff, right? If he had a different class, then it would have gave him a different rig. But yeah, so there we go. The skin system works, and yeah, so yeah, that works. If you want to know how to test to make sure every character's skin works, you could simply just run a test to where you just simply assign. You could just assign it. I'm trying to think. So you see how we have this code right here? You would just right here. You would just take this code and then like you would just forcibly assign your character with it inside of like the character added function to just test it and stuff if you wanted to just test to make sure that the model works and everything. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. You guys have been showing the Forsaken series as well as the how to make grow a garden series. Lots of love, and I really do appreciate all the love and support you guys have shown on the channel. Like I said, check out the description if you're interested in accessing any one of my scripts or models and stuff. I appreciate all the love and support you guys have shown on the channel. And yeah, like I said, just continue to show the series love and support, and I will continue dropping more and more parts for y'all. Stuff. It is that simple. If you enjoyed this part, leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you all for watching. Yo, what's good with y'all? In today's video, I got how to make Forsaken in Roblox. This is part 5 to the tutorial series. Sorry guys, I know that it's been a week since the last part. Stuff, as I mentioned in my Grow a Garden series, was a little busy with some college stuff, but I still got videos coming out for y'all and stuff. So this is part 5, and then I'll drop part 6 later this probably either tomorrow, the day after this video drops, or 2 days after this video drops. But yeah. So this is part 5. I fixed 2 bugs. Shout out to those 2 people that mentioned these bugs to me. I fixed 2 bugs. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I know one of them was when you like reset, when like if your player died or something, the health bar wouldn't continue. It wouldn't continue to update gradually and whatnot. It would just reset, and like your health would reset as well. So I fixed that, and then I fixed one. Oh, I disabled the buttons and everything and stuff when it comes time for the round to start. So this is the stuff I did. We added the killer intro and stuff, and the killer UI, which that's just simply the text label that says this round's killer is insert player's username and then the type of killer they are. So yeah, this part of the series is just directly devoted to showing how to make a killer cutscene. Now, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna throw that disclaimer out right now. I do not make cutscenes and stuff. I don't. I hate making cutscenes. They're much too difficult and complicated. They're like too complicated for me. When I just don't like making cutscenes at all and stuff. And whatnot, right? So it's pretty basic. I pretty much remade the Jason cutscene intro, which is like, he walks where he walks, like the gate comes up, walks through the door, and then like the knife hits the button, and then yeah, just walks through it. So yeah, so I remade that. So I'm gonna show you guys how I made that and stuff. Now I want to clarify something. Do not go in the comments and ask me, oh, can I make so and so's intro? Can I make so and so's intro? I'm not making all the kills intro. This is just simply to demonstrate to you guys a general idea of how you would go about making a cutscene, to give you some insight and to just show you how you would integrate like the cutscene part of the code into my code for this series and stuff. I'm not going to be going through making all the intros and stuff. I hate making cutscenes and stuff, so don't ask that. 'Cause I already can see people asking that. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get straight into the video. Okay, first things first. I want to go ahead and knock out the quick UI edition, and then I'm gonna go through because I know you guys are probably a little confused for these parts right here. So, I'm gonna head on over to Core GUI, open that up. You're going to find round frame, right? You're going to want to duplicate I want to say the count, or no, wait. Yeah, we can say the countdown text label. So you could just duplicate the countdown text labels. So select it or Control plus D, then just, okay, wrong thing. And then, okay, clearly it does not want to go. I'll just do that. And then I am so stupid, the background. That's why it's not working. Okay. So I'm just going to drag this down here, right? I'm going to obviously update the size and of course change the name, update the name to killer text label, right? And then we're just going to do, maybe like 70, or no, I think just 50 should be good. So then we're just gonna do like 300 by 50, right? Just drag this to like the bottom middle, um, and then text color and transparency will remain the same. Background color will be black. Then we'll have a white border. So set border size pixel 2, border color to white. Boom, right? That's a killer text label. So by default, make sure the killer text label is not visible. It's not visible because remember our round frame is visible. So make sure the killer text label is not visible by default. Okay, so now to get into how I made the Jason cutscene and stuff, right? I'm gonna explain everything. So y'all just bear with me. Make sure you do everything exactly as I say. Okay, so going through this, right? We needed multiple things. As you can see, I'm explaining what each thing is, right? We have the wall. This is the wall or the gate, whatever you want to call it. You guys know how there's a gate that goes up and stuff. And by the way, I know like this obviously doesn't look the exact same as it does in the game. This is just for demonstration purposes. Obviously, you would have a much better looking gate model, an actual button, maybe a different knife. I mean, the knife looks decent. I don't really see a problem with the knife, but yeah, and stuff. I just wanted to like make that clear to people and stuff. Obviously, you guys would have a much better part. This is just simply for demonstration and stuff. But yeah. So I just want to explain. These are all regular parts. These are all regular parts. So to do what I did, right? I'm gonna walk you through everything. So you could just insert a part, right? Insert a part, rename that part to wall, right? And I'm gonna go through all the properties so you guys can see everything. Name that part wall, right? This is gonna be your wall. Then here are the properties and stuff, so you guys can just copy it exactly. Disable can't collide. Make sure you anchor it. Those are the properties for the wall, right? Then you would create another part, and then you would rename this part to button, right? And then here are the properties for the button and stuff. You would put the button obviously right next to you would put the button obviously right next to the wall and stuff. The whole point is it's supposed to be like right next to it and stuff, right? So that the knife can go straight through it. Then let's see. So we got wall button, right? And keep in mind these are regular parts. Regular parts. I just recolored this so that's, yeah, I just changed the color so that it's green. All right. Then what I have next is the goal, right? So the goal is this part, right? This again, it's just a regular part. That's all it is, just a regular part. So to explain what this is, right? So pretty much the killer is going to spawn here. As you guys know, this is the killer spawn. The killer is going to spawn here, and then he's going to start walking towards this part. Whatever part is named goal, the killer is going to walk to that part. So obviously you want to have it like set out in front of your in front of your wall, like a little bit, like in front of it and stuff. So you want to just set it out like that, and then you're going to name that part to goal, right? And again, this is for demonstration purposes. Obviously, in your actual game, you wouldn't have the spawns, you wouldn't have all their spawns right next to each other, and then have the cutscene right here, right? So yeah, so you're gonna have that. Then we have the knife and the focus part. So the focus part, this is an invisible part. So this is, I'll just show you guys. This is simply, again, a regular part. Show you all the properties. It is a regular part. Can't collide is disabled. Make sure it's anchored, right? You're going to rename this part to focus part. The point of this is to be like, this is where your camera is going to focus and stuff, like, right? You see how, like, how it's like in, like, from this angle and stuff. It's like from this angle you'll be able to see the killer walk, like, you'll be able to see the door go up, the knife go through the button, and then the killer walk through the door and stuff. You want to position your part so that it's like directly right in front of that and stuff, right? You want to make sure it's directly right in front of it and stuff, right? Then obviously you want to have your knife. I got this knife from the toolbox and stuff. Just go to the toolbox and type search in knife and you'll find it. If you want to use the specific one I used, I can leave a link in the description. If you don't see the link to it in the description, just remind me because I probably forgot. But yeah, so I simply just took this out of the tool. I'll show you guys what I did actually. Toolbox, recent, right here. So I took this, right? I took this, the throwing knife. All I did was just take the handle out of the tool, just parented to workspace, renamed it to knife, and then yeah, that was it. And I deleted the other stuff because we didn't need the scripts or anything. So once you have your knife, right? Oh my bad. Once you rename it to knife and everything, here's what you're gonna do, right? It comes with sound effects, by the way, which I use. So you're just simply going to, here is the like positioning and stuff if y'all want to match it. Make sure it's anchored and can collide to turn on. So the way this is going to work is you're going to position it in a way to like at an angle and position to where like it goes forward and down kind of thing. Like you're going to position that, right? So that it goes forward and down. Now we're gonna tween it so that it goes to the like your desired position. So it's gonna like wherever you put it, it's gonna track and go towards the button and stuff. But obviously you want to have it like an angle so it looks like like someone threw a knife at the door kind of thing. So you're just gonna like you can just do that by like just going up here and just rotating it, moving it around until it looks nice and everything. So yeah, you have your knife in position, right? Um. Very important. You want to make sure your enemy spawn is like in front of this stuff, right? Is in front of all this stuff, right? Um, and then want to say that's really it. Leave the sound effects inside, and that's really it. One other thing is I do have a gate sound effect. This is a sound effect I got from the toolbox and stuff. I just searched up like I think like door closing or but I think it was like gate closing or something and stuff. So y'all can just get that from the toolbox and stuff. That's for this door because we're gonna tween it so that like it goes up so the player can walk through it and stuff. I think that covers all the parts and stuff. Yeah, I believe that covers that, the UI and everything. So yeah. So that's the simple part of making the cutscene. By the way, I just want to go ahead and I'm gonna say this probably again in the video and stuff, right? And then let me just double check. Okay, we're good. I'll say this probably again. If something is not working out like where it's supposed, like as intended, you may have to rotate things. Here's what I mean, right? Let's say the player is like let's say they're not walking. Let's say the player doesn't spawn correctly and stuff. You may have to change some things in the code. Like y'all are gonna really have to critically think here. I know it's hard for some of y'all. I don't mean any offense by that, but some of y'all it is a little hard. You're gonna have to critically think and stuff, right? You may have to rotate. Oh my bad. You may have to like rotate some of these parts, move them around to so that it works for you. Just because it works like this for me does not mean it'll work like that for you because you probably aren't going to be able to like create a one-of-one replica of like everything I've done and stuff, right? So you may have to like change things around and stuff. So yeah, but anyway, now we get into the scripting changes. So open up the core local script. By the way, I do have an intro animation and stuff. Simply just go to the local script, insert an animation. Then you just name it. And actually, now that I think about it, it would actually make more sense to actually do JSON animation. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to name it, so very specific. You're going to name this animation after the killer. and stuff. You're gonna name it after the killer and stuff. So make sure it's the exact same name as the killer, and then just put the word animation after, right? And then you can't use my animation ID. You have to use your own. I got the Forsaken animations from the toolbox. I just searched up Forsaken killer animations. So yeah. Yeah. Let's go ahead and let's get straight to the scripting. Okay. First things first, we're going to need the sound service. So let's just go up here after the user input service. And let's create a variable for the sound service. So game gets, I don't know why it keeps doing that. Game gets service, sound service, right? Then we are going to, then we are going from here, we are going to scroll down to pretty far, honestly. Oh, like right, yeah, right here. So I changed the way this works. So we're going to, you're going to delete this stuff because I know we added this stuff. You're going to delete this, right? We're pretty much essentially we're changing how this works and stuff because pretty much every round you're gonna have a killer's cutscene play and stuff like that. So we're gonna just change. We're gonna do that stuff when we play the actual cutscene. So yeah. Yeah. So from there we're gonna go down. After that you're gonna go right here. Yeah, right here. And then you're gonna go after that. You're gonna say else if event type is equal to in quotation marks. You're going to put, I believe it was called cutscene. You're going to put cutscene, enter, then this is going to set up the cutscene. We're going to create a lot, and I mean a lot of variables. First things first, variable for the killer will be equal to arg1. This would be the player instance of the killer and stuff, right? Then we're going to get our player's camera. So camera is equal to game, or we could just say workspace dot current camera. Then we'll get our okay, I'm gonna be very clear here. You're not getting your player's character, you're getting the killer's character and stuff, because if you accidentally put your character, what's gonna happen is it's essentially it's going to have the camera focus on the player instead of the killer. So everyone will be looking at entirely different things. Everybody will be looking at their own character instead of the killer character. Then create a variable for our focus part workspace. If by some, I don't know, odd reason it wasn't there, we'll just go ahead and use wait for child. So then we're just going to create variables for all of our parts. So workspace wait for child, knife, button, right? Create a variable for our wall, workspace wait for child, wall, right? Then what we're going to do is we're going to make it, since this is a cutscene and stuff, we want all our UI to be disabled. So we're just going to say for I, comma, v in pairs, core GUI, get children, enter, then you'll just say v.visible is equal to false, make everything not visible. Then you'll use an if statement, you'll say if killer. Here's how we'll be able to tell whether or not which cutscene to play. We'll say if killer dot class dot value is equal to in quotation marks, you're going to put Jason here, enter. So I want to be very specific. The reason why I'm putting Jason is because that is my default killer and stuff. If your default, because keep in mind, technically this is a default killer because it costs $0 to purchase him and stuff, right? So you would just put whatever name your default killer is. Again, I highly recommend you just follow along with what I did, because if you do something different, you're gonna mess it up most likely. Now, I already know people are gonna ask me this for the life of me. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, what do you want to do? What should you do if you want to add other cutscenes? You're simply just gonna go else if killer dot class dot value is equal to, then you would put the name of the other killer. For example, we could put John Doe, enter. Then you would put your cutscene code for that killer here and stuff, right? So yeah, that's what you would do. You would just throw an else if. Okay, now for this stuff, you guys are about to find out why I don't like doing cutscenes. A lot of extra. So first thing first, we need to create a color effect. This is pretty much gonna make it so that the player can't see. It's gonna put like a tint over the the screen so that the player can't see. So color effect is equal to instance.new color, so it's color correction effect. Then you'll say color effect dot tint color is equal to color3 dot new. You'll say 0, 0, 0, so black. Then you'll say color effect dot parent is equal to game dot lighting, right? Then after that, you're going to say character. Remember, this is the enemy's character. You're going to say pivot to workspace dot, here's what I'm talking about right here. Kill respawn dot cframe times cframe dot new -1, comma 2, comma -1, Go on the outside, then parenthesis, you're gonna say times C frame dot angles, then you're gonna say 0, comma 380, comma 0. Right now, I want to be very clear, okay? Very clear. This part right here may not work for you. So I'm going to explain what this does. This is to ensure that when the killer spawns in, instead of facing this way, that way, that way, that way, whatever way, you want them facing forward. You want them facing the forward direction, right? In the direction their wall is. So then the player will start walking like this so that they're not facing this way, walking backwards, which will happen and stuff. If they're facing the wrong direction, they will simply just walk backwards or walk sideways and stuff. So yeah. So let's say this. Let's say I don't know. Let's say they're not face. I doubt you would have any problems with them like not spawning in front of like yeah. This part right here handles the spawning in front of it and stuff. You shouldn't have any issues with that. The only issues you would encounter would be them spawning facing the correct direction. So let's say they don't face the correct direction. Here's what you do. You play around with this number. You increase, decrease, do whatever you need to do and stuff. Right? You just literally and stuff. Just literally change it to 20. Play. Okay, still not facing it. 40, 60, 80, whatever. You just keep messing around with that number until they're facing the correct direction, right? Because this works for me, it may not work for you and stuff. But you just have to play around with the number, and then eventually it'll work. After that, you'll say task. I'll wait 3 seconds, right? Then we'll do our first fade tween. So fade tween is equal to TS creates. You're gonna put our color effect, comma. You will say tween info dot new. You will say 1 second, comma enum dot easing style dot linear, comma enum dot easing direction dot in, then a comma in between the parentheses, special brackets, you will say tint color is equal to color3 dot new, you will say 0.35 comma 0.35 comma 0.35, which is just a dark gray. Then after that you will play the fade tween, right? Then after that, we're going to go ahead and make the throw tween so that we're gonna tween it so that the knife goes at the wall. So you can just really copy and paste this. Control C, Control V. Then you're just gonna rename this to knife tween, right? Copy, paste. You're gonna put your knife here. This is going to be 0.5 seconds and stuff. You guys can mess around. So the duration. Now I will say this. I will say this. I recommend you guys copy everything I'm doing. Like obviously positions and stuff and angles that may change for you guys. You may have to change that. But like as for this, the task.wait and the time it takes for the knife to throw, I recommend y'all just do it exactly as I have, unless it's not working properly for you and stuff. Because what'll happen is if you change the stuff, the timing could be off. The knife could reach the button too quick, too late. Like everything is timed perfectly with the sound effects, the visuals, everything is timed perfectly. So again, that's why I hate making cutscenes. You have to make sure everything is in sync pretty much. So yeah. So for the knife, so for the throw tween, or knife tween, whatever, 0.5, easing style is exponential, then put out for this, and then you're changing the position of the knife. This is what I meant. It'll go in its direction, so you're going to change the position, so delete that part. So you're going to say position, then you're going to say button dot position, right? Then you'll play your knife tween, right? So then after the knife tween, we'll do a task.wait. We will wait 0.25 seconds or 25, and then we'll say knife. I'm just going to play the sound effect that came with the knife, so knife.hit. Play, you can of course get your own sound effect from the toolbox. Then I'm going to create a variable. This is so that we can tween the wall so that the wall goes up and stuff, so that it goes up and everything. We have to do it like differently because what'll happen is like when you tween things, when you change the size of it via like scripting and stuff, it usually compresses and or like squishes things or expands it and stuff. So instead of it like just going up, it'll squish itself from top to bottom kind of thing and stuff. So we need to create some variables to handle this. We need to say goal size. So you would put whatever your goal size is here. By the way, I recommend y'all have your wall the same size as mine and stuff so that once you change it's good. And also make sure your size is like it's whole numbers and stuff, like not, you want to avoid decimals and stuff. It won't give you any errors. It's a lot easier to do this if you just do whole numbers. So we're just gonna 6, 1, 1 because we're just changing the y value. Then so that's our goal size. Our current size is the current size of the wall. Remember, you're just changing the y value because y is controls top and bottom. Then we will calculate the size difference for y. We would say in parentheses, we would say goal size dot y minus current size dot y. Go on the outside divided by 2, right? Then you create a variable for our goal position, which will be equal to wall. You will say wall dot position, right? Then you say plus vector3 dot new 0 comma negative size difference y comma 0, right? Then you will set up our wall tween. So once again, just paste. Oh my bad, marked them. Just paste some tween code because we're gonna do this like probably like 3 more times. So then you're just gonna rename this to wall tween. It's gonna be our wall tween. So wall tween. Copy, paste. Then obviously you're gonna put the wall here. So the wall will change the duration to 2 seconds. We will change the easing style to linear. Easing direction will be in, and then you're gonna change the size and position to make it consistent. We're gonna have to change the size and position. So we're pretty much creating the illusion that it's like just simply going up. You're also changing the position. So size is equal to goal size, and then position is equal to goal position. Then you would play the wall tween. Then this is when everything pretty much starts. So wall tween play. Then you would play your gate sound effect, and then we will start playing the animation track. This is a walking animation and stuff. The priority should be set to movement, right? So we're gonna say a t-shirt for animation track is equal to character dot humanoid dot animator, right? You're gonna say load animation and parentheses put script dot. Then here's what you're gonna do. Or sorry, not script dot. You're gonna script regular bracket. You're gonna say killer dot class dot value dot 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 quotation marks. You're gonna put animation, so it'll retrieve the specific killer's animation. I mean, it does actually. Now think about it, it doesn't really matter because this is specifically for the Jason killer, but it's probably just best to do it like this. So at and then I'll say play. We'll start playing the running animation and stuff, right? Or walking animation. Then I will say character dot humanoid move to. This will make them start walking and stuff. So we'll start moving the killer to, we will say workspace dot goal dot position. Remember that's that goal part we had. Then you will say wall tween a completed connect function close parentheses enter. So once the wall is finished, then of course we will stop the gate sound effect. After that, we're going to make some adjustments to the camera. We're going to say camera dot camera type, and you're going to say is equal to enum dot camera type dot scriptable. Then camera. Then we're going to adjust the C frame. So C frame is equal to focus part dot C frame times C frame dot new, or sorry, not C frame dot new, C frame dot angles. My bad. C frame dot angles, right? You're going to say 0 comma math dot rad. Then you're going to put 280 comma 0. Again, you may have to adjust this number. You may have to adjust this number and stuff, right? If the camera is not facing the correct direction and stuff, like when the cutscene is playing, you'll have to adjust this so that you can rotate it and whatnot and stuff. That's what I meant. And then let me just double check to make sure we're good. Okay. Yeah, see that's I was like, what just happened? This is exactly why I just wanted to do the killer stuff, the cutscene stuff in just one video, because I knew this part would take long enough. But then yeah, after that, we're then going to create a blur effect. So blur is equal to instance.new. You'll put a blur effect. You'll say blur. That size would be equal to 10, but you can adjust that to whatever you want it to be. Parent that to game.lighting. Right? Then you're going to set up the killer text label stuff. You're going to say core GY dot round frame. The killer text label dot text is equal to in quotation marks. You will say this rounds killer is dot 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 space. Then you would just say dot dot dot. This round's killer is. Wait, is this supposed to be the? Oh yeah. So this round's killer is player, or not, sorry, not player name, killer dot name, dot 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 quotation marks space. Then you would just put the quotation marks, and you would say dot 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 killer dot class dot value. Yeah, dot 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 quotation marks and parentheses. So the name of the killer, then their class. Yeah, like the killer name, I should say. So then we will say core GUI dot round frame dot visible is equal to true. core GUI dot round frame killer text label visible is equal to true, right? Then we will wait 2 seconds. So task dot wait 2 seconds, right? Then we will create our second fade tween. So again, just copy and paste. And then this will be our second fade tween, right? So let's control C, control V, right? Then this goes back to our color effect. This will be 1 second linear in, and then we're just changing this. Then we're gonna say tint color 3 dot new. You're gonna see 0 comes to 0, so it's gonna fade to black. This means the cutscene is finished, and now we're pretty much like the game is starting pretty much. Fade tween to play. Then task dot wait 2 seconds. Then after that, you're simply just gonna say core GUI dot round frame dot visible is equal to false. Then you're gonna say core GUI dot round frame dot round text label, or sorry, wait, no, not round text label, killer text label dot visible is equal to false. Then at this point you're gonna stop playing the animation track because it's done. You're finishing all the prep, all the stuff, and then the cutscene is wrapping up. So destroy the blur. So we'll destroy the blur. You'll reset the camera type. Camera type will be equal to camera type dot custom, so that it's back to the player's view. Then we'll paste again. Oh, my bad. We will control C, control V, change that to 3 and 3. So our color effect. So this all remains the same except this, you'll just change this to white. So it'll be like 1 by 1 by 1 by 1 type thing, right? So fade tween 3 play. Then upon fade tween 3 completing, connect function, close parentheses, enter, right? We're gonna make it so that the UI will be visible. So we'll say core GUI dot hotbar frame dot visible is equal to true. Core GUI dot info frame dot visible is equal to true. Core GUI dot round frame dot visible is equal to true. And then the last thing, we probably should destroy the color effect by now. Stuff since that's done. We'll destroy the color effect, and then yeah. So yeah, the game will be starting, and then yeah. Okay, that's all we have to do with the local scripts. Now move on to the server script, which won't take us too long. Okay, so moving on to the server script. You're gonna go down here. You're gonna go right here after the killer variable. So this is a check in place. Let's say that the player does not have a killer currently equipped. They have a survivor equipped. What we're gonna do is we're going to just equip the default killer and stuff. If the round has started or if the round is starting and that player is chosen as the killer and they currently have a survivor equipped, we're just going to make it so that the default killer, which is free, we're just gonna make it so that that's who they're gonna use. So we're gonna say if not character folder dot killers find first child killer dot class dot value, which means if we cannot find the name of their class inside of the killers folder, that means they are currently using a survivor. Enter, right? Then you're gonna say for I comma v in pairs character folder dot killers get children. Enter, you'll say if v dot cost, my bad, v dot cost dot value is equal to 0, so your default killer essentially. Enter, then you will say killer dot class dot value is equal to v dot name, right? So boom, that fixes a bug. Then we're gonna go down here. So after this, after the end, or no, actually, wait, no, it's actually before we're gonna play the killer cutscene before the round stuff. So we're gonna say core event fire all clients, right? And then you're going to, in quotation marks, you're gonna put cutscene, right? Then comma send over the instance of the killer, right? Then after that, you're gonna go scroll down here, fix another bug. So we're gonna check to see if we're gonna add a variable here called class found. Make sure that we found the class. Class found is equal to, my bad, is equal to false by default. And then if we do find the player's class, we'll say class found is set to true, right? We'll add that. Then we need to wrap all of this stuff in an if statement, right? So I know there's a way to do this. I know there's a way, but I don't feel like, yeah, I don't feel like doing that. So you're just gonna go after these, and before the ability list variable, you're just simply gonna say if class found enter, which pretty much means class found is equal to true. Then you're just gonna copy this code or cut it, and then just paste it, and then boom. So if a class was found, you'll fire their mode event so that it'll update the stuff, right? And then I'm about to show you guys the reason as to why I added that, right? So you're gonna go right here, and then you're gonna create a variable for the player's current. So whenever a character is added, you're gonna create a variable for the current class. This fixes the health bug. So you're gonna say current class is equal to player dot class dot value. So what was happening was it was resetting the player's health to like 100, and then it was updating their UI. So we're gonna fix that. So we're gonna save whatever their current class is. We're gonna store that value inside of the current class variable. Then we're gonna change this to player class dot value is equal to nothing, right? Then we're simply just resetting it. So value is equal to current class. We're just resetting it upon them dying. That's all we're doing and stuff, right? And then that'll fix that bug and stuff. That's why we needed that code to check to make sure that it's not, an empty string and it's actually a class. And then, yeah, that's it. That's it. Let's go ahead and test to make sure this works. As always, if you guys want access to any one of my scripts or models, you guys can just read the description. You can find out more about that and stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and test just to reiterate. I will not be showing you guys how to make all of the killers cutscenes and everything and stuff. Okay. So what I oh actually I just realized it doesn't matter because it'll just automatically. So yeah. So it'll choose one of these NPCs to be the killer and stuff. Once that's done, it'll play the cutscene or whatnot. So oh, by the way, yeah, to test to make sure this works, make sure that your player has your player's class is set to whatever like you just did. Like for in our case, it's Jason and stuff by default. I don't need to set it because remember in the code we set it to if it's set to a survivor, it'll automatically change it to their Jason class. So let's wait and then round. Okay, fades out, fades in. There we go. Round killer is player 2 Jason. And there we go. I'm the survivor. The killer is over there. And I know this is a bug. I will fix this in later part. But as you can see, it works. You can probably make this invisible and whatnot. And yeah. And then the survivors are over there. Stuff. So yeah. That's how we would go about doing that. So yeah. As you guys can see, it's pretty. I feel like it's pretty much it's just like a lower budget. It's like a lower budget version. Stuff nav goes to the button, makes a sound effect. Gate goes up. You guys can see. I can't talk. You guys do see how it could be a little bit higher and stuff for clearance, like just because the hat and stuff. But you guys get the point though. Oh whatnot. So yeah. If you guys enjoyed part 5 of the series, definitely leave a like and subscribe and stuff. As you guys know, I will continue dropping more and more Forsaken parts as long as you guys keep showing the series love and support and stuff. I appreciate all the love and support you guys been showing the channel, especially recently and whatnot. As always, if you guys find any bugs, just definitely let me know and I will get those addressed in a future part. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.